Blog Talk Radio.
Shalom, Lekulam. Peace to everyone. Welcome to the Reset Button Season 3. This season, we welcome the listener to join us while we journey through Isaiah, one of the most controversial books in the Word. We would like to accomplish understanding of the salvation of Israel mentioned. Is it one spoken of in the New Testament? Is it someone we're waiting on? Or is it in the past? Walk through this with us as we attempt to uncover this mystery. The call-in number is 516-595-8238. And press 1 at any time that you have questions or that you would like to leave a comment. Our collective email is histaught1talkradio@gmail.com. Our Facebook page is His Taught Ones and His Taught Ones Talk Radio. We also have the YouTube page at His Taught Ones Talk Radio. Subscribe and we'll be posting our episodes every week. Shalom and have a good show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another season of His Taught Ones. Talmidim, yo, here we go, back at it again. You did, yourself, Shema and some friends. We learned hard through better sheets, the Melachim. Now fresh start to what is hot. I never yin, here come the prophets. They're dropping some knowledge, abolishing doctrines, apology nonsense. They bring the word, you can call them the pinpoint. Given by the hand of the head, he is the pinpoint. Or could it be it's another? So many distances from the children, it's a misnomer. Honestly, the aroma is hideously unbearable. There is no one accord. How dare we say that we're hearing you? I don't want to see
Yisrael, Holy One of Israel. Anachnu modim lecha al yom nosaf ve'al milah. We thank you for another day and for your word. Barech bivakasha et ha-mifkash hazeh. Please bless this gathering. Bo'u nishmiah. Let us say Amen. Amen.
Shalom, shalom, mishpacha. Shabbat shalom. They have another segment of the Reset Button. We are in Yeshaya, Isaiah, and we are covering chapters 4 through 8. I am accompanied by my beloved Achim brothers, Yosef and Yediyah, and we're excited to continue on these chapters. Without further ado, I would love for Yediyah to open up with his opening statement. Then I'll go myself and go right into Yosef since he's kicking off the chapters in chapter 4.
All right, this is Yediyah. I want to say shalom to everyone that's listening. And I'm excited for today's show. We're going to go over a few things. I think it's some good stuff in there to bring out. Me, myself, personally, I just want everybody to know when I'm going over this stuff, I'm just looking at it with a clear mind. So there's no agenda. It was some stuff I saw in there that was just like clear cut. So I will be addressing some things, and also I ain't trying to step on no toes, but if your toes get in the way, they might get stepped on. And what I mean by that is I'm not trying to uphold or spare anybody's feelings based on the doctrine that they uphold as of right now. This is the reset button, and I had to reset, so, it is what it is. So, shalom.
Shalom, this is yourself, Ha-Oredim, Joseph the lawyer. And, man, I'm very excited about the show. I'm always excited about the show, see what these brothers have brought out. Of course, I've been waiting to get to Isaiah for a while because it was something that I was into. Just like Yediyah said, this is, no matter what come out of it and what these brothers say, because we don't link up before this. And we don't know what we're going to say. It's just that a lot of times we have been on one accord. So that lets you know that three people go hit their individual circles and we come back and we come up with some of the same stuff majority of the time. So I'm just excited. That's why I'm always excited to see what takes place. What else? Like he said, this is not against anybody's doctrine. If it goes against the doctrine that you believe, and I'm talking about this is just in general because we were just reading, we're discussing stuff and stuff like that. If it goes against the beliefs that I believe, what I used to believe, I have to be objective enough to say I want to know the truth. This is why it's the reset button. It is the truth. That's what we're trying to get to, the core of it. So still a little bit of mystery going on. We still have some questions as far as from rolling out from last week. So hopefully we can clear up some things. And like I put out on the post, we'll be covering that virgin birth thing coming in these chapters. It's a big thing, man. It's one of the biggest things that everybody's going to talk about, that I've talked about for years. So hopefully we get some clarification on that. And that's all about. That's all I got really to say. Just hope it's a good show. We just pray the Most High keep us all in fellowship and let it be fun like we always did. And that's my opening statement. I don't know. Flow back to Shema now.
All right. Well, this is Shema Ben Yael, aka Shema Talmido, and I just want to further harp on what they're saying. Hey, to be honest with you, man, I'm in total agreement with these two brothers. The sparing of the feelings is done, because we're doing all this in love. And I actually had to reset my button over these last few chapters because I thought that I'll bring it out when we get to it, but I had to actually reset my button within it. Okay, so that's just to let you all know we don't hold fast on any doctrine. We let the Tanakh, the scriptures, present what is the facts. One of the things I want to speak on what Yosef just said, the virgin birth thing. I think he said it. I forgot how he worded it. I apologize if I'm saying it out of place. But
I said virgin.
Okay, cool. That's a touchy subject. And we're for a lot of people. We're not in that department right now. We're not in that emotional state right now. We're trying to get the understanding of the authors of the text, the literature. And I might not pinpoint too much on that because I understand when we get into that topic, that's a whole nother topic. So I want to bring forth and so let that brother bring it out. He's gonna bring out whatever he bring out. But we're gonna go through these 4 chapters, man, and it's gonna be enlightening because I lie to you not. When I went over it this week and also went back over it 5 a.m. today for the last few hours, I just wanted to go over it again, and it's like amazing, man. It's amazing what context can do. It's amazing what context to do. I just posted something before I will allow yourself to take over on my Twitter, and I said on there, what did I say? Because I was going through it, like I said, 5 a.m. I said, goodness gracious, contextual study, context in general, so that can apply to life as well, is the epitome of understanding situations literature, in quotations, Hebrew text and scripture, as well as understanding the language in the sense of matters, because matters can be looked at as language, but more commonly the text of the study. We have wrongfully interpreted, man. It's so much within these 4 chapters. So with that being said, I hope that everyone really take some notes, speak their mind. If they have anything to say, comment, wise, or question, press 1 to get in the queue. Press and we will bring you in. That's it. We're just trying to get to the truth and get great understanding. And with all that said, I'll pass it on to yourself.
All right, I got the first chapter, which is chapter 4, which is fairly quick. So I'm going to, it's only 6 verses. So if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna kind of read some stuff. I'm gonna read it out of the ISR. I can read it out of the KJV, whatever people would prefer. It's just most of the time I think it's out of the ISR, just to have it the way that it's worded instead of just summarizing. I know these brothers like to summarize, but anyway. And 1, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we shall eat our own food and wear our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name to take away our reproach. And I think that's rendered okay. I think I seen something else that said, and take away our reproach, which would have been rendered a little bit bad. But it said, in that day, the branch of the Most High, Yod-Heh, Wav-Heh, shall be splendid and esteemed, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for the escaped ones of Israel. So this is where we see, the first time we see the branch talked about. We'll see this terminology later. All right, and it shall be that he who is left in Zion and he who remains in Jerusalem is called set apart. Everyone who is written among the living in Jerusalem. And there seems to be some later time type of deal. And if y'all was with us last week, that was one of the things that we say, okay, so far about we haven't read it. So it's sometime futuristic. So we don't know how far future, if this is end times, we're still trying to figure this out. I'm telling you at this point, I don't know, but at one point I just knew that this was end times. I'm at my reset button, so don't ask me. You can ask me what I think, but I can't tell you 100% because I'm at total reset, okay? But I can say, it looks as if like what I said, it was end times, talk about peace last week as far as that, but we don't have the 100%. Well, I don't. All right, then it just talks about the Most High washing them away and basically cleansing them of their sins, I would say, just to sum it up. And that's all. I'm not going to go too deep into things because it was very short. It doesn't give too much explanation of what this branch is. I know what people say later on, but I'm not going to get into that since that's way down the line. But I just want to say, this is in that day the branch of Yahweh shall be splendid and esteemed, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for the escaped ones of Israel. Now, I will say that, okay, branch, I would use it as a term or figure of speech to say that the extension of the Most High. But at this point, that could be anybody, or that can also be Israel in my eyes at this point. Now, this is not no preconceived notions at all. It's just that when I read it, I said, okay, this doesn't give me anything specific. And actually, with that, I'll pass the flow. I probably thought I had a lot more, but I don't. Not the 6 verses.
All right. What I'll do is go and follow suit from how yourself did it last week to give the lead-off man the time of rest and preparation of that chapter by bringing forth the next panelist before the leading man. So I'm going to go ahead and go follow suit of what he did. I like what he brought forth in these six verses. What I wanted to point out is two things. And I'm glad he said what he said in verse 2, because it's what I want to do is allow us, and I think that's what all three of us want to do, is to allow the scripture to present itself. It's a lot of word play in here, man, for lack of better word. It's a lot of word play, man. We saw in the last few chapters before, we saw how things were compared to, or Israel was spoken of as a her, as we all are familiar with, I know, in the doctrine of today. But it also was referred to as a his, and it could be referred as to it, depending on the context, depending on the word itself. And we broke some of that down last week. Hopefully you all go back and listen to it, those that's tuning in now that wasn't here last week. So that is what I believe to add in what the brother was speaking on, verse 2. That's another one of those touchy things. But let's go to verse 1 is what I want to bring out. It says, in the renderings that I have, and 7 women will grasp one man on that day, saying, we will eat our own food and wear our own clothes. Just let us be called by your name and in our disgrace. What I want to say, and this is to my speaking, the understanding that I'm grasping from this, from a reality standpoint, it shows in their culture that a purpose of life, so one of the purposes that they might have had was marriage, right? But and when you think of that, you think of it as not good for men to be alone, back in Better Sheet or Genesis. But this time specifically, it shows it shows in regards to the shortage that's about to happen with the men. It will be a disgrace in their eyes and possibly the people's eyes according to their culture of that time. So it's like, you know what? We just want to join and be a part of this man, depending on what man they end up with. So I just looking at it, just me pinpointing on that disgrace. They're looking at it as a disgrace. I'm like, okay, wow. So it was big from a cultural standpoint of a woman wanting to be married to a man, and how in their culture it could be as that it was looked at as a righteous woman that was not a widow, perhaps, from a disgrace standpoint. That's just my take on what I'm seeing as of right now. I want to go to verse 3. Verse 3 says, in the renderings that I have, of every remnant that will be in Zion and every remaining one in Jerusalem or Jerusalem, holy will be said of him, everyone who was inscribed for life in Jerusalem or Jerusalem. Holy will be said of him. So the men left will be seen as righteous or set apart, right? I want y'all to remember this verse as we go on through these 4 chapters. And that's all I have for this chapter. I want to pass it on to Yadiah.
All right, man. Y'all brothers did an excellent job. Like y'all said, it's a very short chapter, not a lot to cover. I did want to recap what Brother Shema said concerning the cultural aspect of it. So we see here that, like he said, from the New King James Version, it say to take away our reproach. If you look up that word, it's basically saying there's shame. So we ought to understand that it was a shameful thing culturally for a woman to be unmarried. So I think, that's nothing real big but it just shows us a cultural aspect of how they thought. So I guess we would ask, if we were to say, because Brother Yosef said we don't know the time frame of what this, because it says in that day. We don't know what day exactly that is. But let's just hypothetically say that this have not happened yet, okay? Because we're looking at this as a future thing. Like, let's just say the most popular ideal is the last days, like before the world ends, so to say. So let's just say hypothetically that's what it is. Let us reflect on our mindset right now for the people that, look at Israel, how, it is today. How many people really see 7 women taking hold of one man and saying this stuff? And is the culture like that? Will the culture still be like that for them to actually say something like that? That's something to think about. To try to track down the timeline of this particular thing that's supposed to happen. I just think that's something to consider when thinking about this. And then that's pretty much it, man. They cover everything else. Like I said, it was real short. Branch of the Lord, we just know that the Lord is the tetragrammaton, Yod, Hey, Wow, Hey. So that's all I really got to say about this.
Oh, I wanted to say one thing. This 7 women take a hold of one man. It is going to be, you might hear some brothers talk about, they can't wait to get their 7 wives. That is something floating around, especially like with the Hebrew Israelite, some of the Hebrew Israelite camps. I don't know if that's exactly what this is saying. I'm not going to rule it out 100%, but I do think that this is more so of a analogy than a literal 7 women to one man. I don't know. But this is just at this point, I'm thinking it might be an analogy. But like Shema said, it could be the fact that it's a scarcity of people. And if you're talking about 1/3 and rebuilding Jerusalem, that's a possibility too, if that's the case. But I don't know. We haven't read the 1/3. I'm just going off of some things previous. So it could be the way. This is something that you might hear. So this is something that we might want to keep on the back burners of our mind. And if we see something else about it, readdress it to see if it has wholesome validity. That's all.
Hey, can I speak on that? So he gave his opinion on it. I feel like it's literal for the simple fact we say, let us be called by your name. Because, you know what I'm saying, when you take the name of who you marry, basically. So that's why I kind of see it as literal. I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. So we just giving out our opinions. We're showing that we have different thoughts about certain things. So, but for me, I think this is actually a literal thing, just because understanding the culture and how it was then, because men had multiple wives, and then at this point, it would be like he said, a scarcity of men. So it'd be like, in the culture, I see it as kind of shameful for a woman not to have a husband. So because of the way they did things back then. Not saying that's why I said I think it's crucial when looking at that culture back then compared to this culture now. Because women honestly ain't really having that. They ain't trying to share their man like that. So that's why I said that's maybe something to consider. And then last thing, I forgot about this part, but I just think it's important to look at this, the purging of the blood that's in verse 4, purging of the blood. of Jerusalem in her midst by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. And then it said, then the Lord will create above every dwelling place of Mount Zion. So, and then we talk about a cloud of smoke and by day and the shine of a flaming fire by night. So this is this cloud thing that keeps coming up. So I think, you know what I'm saying, I ain't going to speak on it too much, but I just think it's important to mention it because it's something I always talked about this cloud. Some about a cloud. So, and we seen that it said, then Yod-He, Waw-He will create above. So we seeing that, you know what I'm saying, the Most High's name, so to say, as we all say, however you want to pronounce that, whatever vowels you want to put with that, with those consonants, but yet and still we all know what, when they say the Lord, what it is. So I just think that's important when we get in seeing this stuff about a cloud. Because we always, even what we read so far, we read about this cloud. So I just want to make sure that was thrown in there. And I'm done.
One more quick thing. Yeah, as far as like I said, I don't know. I can see it both ways, but at this point, I don't know. And yeah, it could be a scarcity, like they said. So this is not one of those things that is going to determine my salvation, or that I'm going to sit back and debate and argue over Facebook over. So I don't want y'all to try to be like, look, man, I told y'all. Look, man, to me, it really ain't make no difference. I just want to wear white sheets. But all right.
That's been a long time since that was said. All right, well, I just want to wear white sheets. For those that's listening right now, if you have anything to say towards the very first chapter that we went over, chapter 4 of Yeshaya, please chime in. I see that Jeff came in the queue. If there's anyone else, please press 1. We would love to hear your comments or questions, and we will address it if it is a question the best that we can. So I'm going to let Jeff in, and then once he's done speaking, if there's no one else, then we're going to proceed with the following chapter. Jeff, you are live.
Shalom, everyone. I'm glad to be here on another show. I was actually here last week, but I was at my parents' house, and I don't get phone reception there, so I called in on my dad's phone. You all didn't recognize it. And then I chipped in at the end. So I do like the way the introduction was. I enjoyed that. I like that. So I appreciate that. And I won't be long. I just wanted to say, just capitalize on what was said about the 7 women and all of that. I kind of agree with both parts of what both the brothers said, but then I was going to take it back because that's why we're going through this contextually. So I think it is kind of like, in my opinion, based on the culture. So we see that in that culture, women just, they want to be married, or even if we look back to them wanting to have children to carry on that name. So I think back to Lot, when his 2 daughters got him drunk and got him pregnant. Some would say, man, that's your daddy. Really? You doing that? Yeah, I got to carry on this name. So we see it in that aspect. And then I can't remember exactly where it was, but I think it was dealing with the woman whose husband died, and then the brother was supposed to go into her, and he let the seed spill out. And then the Most High slayed him, and then she went and acted like a harlot, and then got the daddy to get her pregnant. So you see these extremes that women were willing to go or take just to preserve the name, So I can see that as being one of the things, because in our culture today, like Brother Yedadiah said, you ain't sleeping with my man. I just I don't see it happening. So I just want to chime in on that, and I say from what I can see, realistically looking at this, it was definitely based on the culture back then, and that's all I had.
Thank you for that, Jeff. Thank you for that. Before we go forward, I'm going to let you bring you out. Press 1. Of course, Before I go with the next chapter, because there's no one else that chimed in, I do want to say I do agree with all three of you, man. Great points. I didn't really have any steadfast or, like set doctrine of what I was trying to bring out. I just wanted to pinpoint more so like the culture and the disgrace part. I think that the women back then were a little bit different than the masses of women today in that belief or in that culture. And I think that they just look at it different. Like women today, they might put on the facade of not wanting to be married. I see that a lot. But then again, deep inside, they might really want to be. I don't know. I'm not a woman. But from a standpoint of this culture, we see that this is something. So I wasn't really saying, 7, but that's a good take, great take. And then what you did, too. I mean, yourself brought out was good as well. I like all that everyone brought out. Now we could go on to the next chapter. If nobody has anything else to say, yourself, yada, before we go forward. I see someone else came in the queue. Mercy. Mercy is in the queue. Bring Mercy in before we go forward. Mercy, you're live.
Yeah, happy Sabbath, brothers. I'm just coming in, but what I wanted to say, I heard you at the tail end of that, Shema, talk about the women back then were different, but, the men were too, and the men were different. The society was different. The nation was different. They had a government in place. And so when you got things in place where the women feel secure and they have a security blanket, so to speak, they may behave differently. Just, So I just wanted to throw that out there because, I think it has to be full circle. We want our women to be a certain way, but the men have to be responsible, in the same way the men were, back in those days. Because I tell you what, women today, they do abortions and those type of things. Women back then didn't do that, but women today do. Why? Because they feel that there's no security or no type of support system. And I'm not in any way excusing what they do, but I think there are other variables that play a part. But that's all I had to say. Happy Sabbath, brothers. It's good to see you studying, and I'm just listening on. All right, Brother Mercy out.
Shalom. Appreciate that take of a different subject, but definitely appreciate that reality within that subject brought forth. And I guess we could continue to chapter 5 because I don't believe the panelists have anything extra to say. All right. I kind of want to do it differently of, a mixture of what I've been doing, but I'm going to take a little bit from, I think how you did, y'all does, or sometimes we put a more so summary of a collection of verses together, but I will do what I've done previously and read certain verses that I want to really bring out. So we see in this very first verse, going down from verse 1 to verse 7, that this is a song on behalf of my beloved. I believe that this is Yeshua speaking. And it's concerning his vineyard. So when he speaks of his vineyard, he's speaking of Yod-Heh, Wah-Heh, Yah. And what I wanted to ask a question, because we see how they speak poetically. Okay, we saw that in the 4th chapter, he talks about the sprout or the branch. And now he's speaking of my beloved had a vineyard. He's speaking of a vineyard at this point. My question, because the very 7th verse actually gives it away, but who is the vineyard of Yah? Who is the vine of Yah? Now, is it a difference between vine and vineyard? That's another question within that question. I would love for the panelists or anybody listening in to chime in on that question once I'm done with the chapter, or once I'm done with the chapter for those that's listening in, but the panelists, you can jump in if you want to now with that question. But for verse 7, It says, now the vineyard of Yah, Master of Legions, is the house of Israel, and the people of Judah are the shoot of his delight. He had hoped for justice, but behold, affliction. For righteousness, but behold, an outcry. So we see that it wasn't any right ruling within these people. They were more so afflicting themselves, right? He wanted righteousness, but behold, an outcry. What was the outcry about? So that would be a question I would ask them. My take on that would be how we dealt with one another, and we will see that in the as the chapters proceed. But what's you all take, panelists, yourself, Yah, on this verse 7? Who is, first of all, within the question, what is the difference between vine and vineyard, if you happen to know, or are they synonymous? And after that one, is this telling us who the vine or the vineyard is in regards to Yah? Before I proceed, that's my question.
Who you want to go first?
I guess I'll go first with something quick. Well, in the verse that I'm looking at right now, it tells you the vineyard of the Most High is the house of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And the man of Yehuda is his pleasant plant. And your second question, so that's who the vineyard. That's not me adding anything. So that's all I can ride with right now. And it says the difference between the vine and the vineyard. That's the next question, correct?
Yeah. So are they synonymous?
I don't know if they're synonymous. At this point in my brain, I don't see the vine and the vineyard being the same thing. Hold on. I don't see the vine and the vineyard. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. The vine is just in the vineyard. So, you know what I'm saying? I guess it could be the same thing, but I guess it could be the synonymous because if you look at just in verse 2, and he dug it up and cleared the stones and planted it with the choicest vine. All right, and so he's talking about planting. In retrospect to what is going on, he's talking about planting Israel and Israelites or Jacob or however you want to say it into Israel, or Jerusalem or however you want to say that. And it's kind of hard to say putting Israel in Israel, but that's what I see.
That's good though. I'm glad you said that. That's good. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to stop you there because people need to understand, even what you just said, that verbiage can trick people, but that's how they speak. You said it's kind of weird saying planting Israel within Israel. Hey, that's how. But go ahead. I'm done. I just wanted to really pull that out, what you just said. Go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's good. And so this is a whole analogy or whatever. So when I looked at it, when I did read it, I thought it was more so of, him taking them, or he planting them. You know what I'm saying? He used it as far as just talking about. I don't know. It's the way words are throughout Isaiah is. I guess Isaiah might have been a gardener, man, and the Most High spoke to him in ways that he understood, or because you got this branch, you got a vineyard, vine, these analogies and stuff like that. Sometimes he would use some things to speak to people the way that they understand. Or Israel was planters, or gardeners. I mean, we already knew that they was very good with the resources of land. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yes, farmers, you got farmers and all this other stuff. That's stuff that needed to be done, but it was just very interesting to me that you use branch, that you use vineyard, vine. So to me, vineyard would be the multitude of it, and I guess vine would be individual things to me. But I don't have the total answer. I don't even know for sure. I'm waiting to see what the other y'all say. This is just an opinion at this point. Because when I seen it, I looked at the same thing. I was like, wonder what its totality of being said. So I yield.
Now, before you speak, I want to capitalize on what you just said. You said that they was people of the field, they was people of the earth, they was planters, they was, farmers, things of that nature. We see that within their culture. We see the things that they've done. So I want to throw something out there for people that's listening. Is it possible, or are people able to understand people that do? Okay, let me give an example. None of us are doctors or surgeons or things of that nature. Are we able to comprehend and understand what they do, how they operate within the body and fix the body up and this and that, if we're not that, if we don't do what they do? I guess my question is saying, when we're reading this, a lot of people do not associate themselves as farmers. They don't know how to. So can we understand, without going into deep study and breaking down of the script and looking at the context and understanding the culture, what he's saying in this poetic speech? With that, passing the floor to you, dear Yah.
All right, shalom. To address it, first thing I would say, let's identify, like you saying, what exactly a vineyard is. I think that is very important because, like you said, when people start speaking a certain speech and they're using terms like metaphors, when we get into literary terms like metaphors, similes, and stuff like that, if they're using something that we're not familiar with, then it could throw us off because we don't understand the depths of what they're saying. If I give an analogy of something, if you've never done that, then you won't really get what I'm trying to say. So for us that are not farmers or anything like that, so a vineyard is a plantation of grapevines. So I think that in itself is major because I don't know exactly when, but he going to start talking about some grapes, some wild grapes or something like that later on. So I think it's important.
Well, number four, he talk about the grapes. He said he waited for it to yield grapes, but it yield rotten ones. Yeah, so it was already, he kind of said something already.
Okay, so we didn't go over that. I knew it was somewhere he was talking about some grapes. So maybe we should go back and look at that real quick. But
I'll read
pull that up
once you're done.
Yeah, read it. Okay, once I'm done. Okay, so that's very important. It's not really so much about the vines. The vines are a part of it, but we're looking at the fruit that the vines are producing. So in a big picture, the vineyard is basically grapevines, a bunch of grapevines. So, but the fruit is what you eat. You know what I'm saying? You're not eating the vines, you're eating the fruit that's coming from the vines. So I think that's important. And then, so when he says that, let me go back down.
Before you go forward, I want to capitalize on something you just said. He just showed you all something about the vineyard and about the vine. I want to pinpoint something. This goes back to what yourself was bringing out when he said, planting Israel within Israel in a sense. And now you got Yah bringing out, you got the vineyard and you got what the vine is kind of like producing within the vineyard. These are all really important terms. Remember me just bringing this out or capitalizing on what they both said because I'm about to say something in regards to that. But go ahead. I think it's very important what they just brought out, y'all.
So it say the vineyard. So when it say vineyard, it's including the grapes. It's not. I don't think it's so much of looking at the vine, but the vines are what the grapes are coming out of. So I think when we talk about the vine, it's just really in connection with, the fruit that's being produced.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't personally separate the vine or the grapes from the vineyard because it's all one thing. So basically it's just a plantation of grapevines. So grapevines is plural. So it's a bunch of them. You get what I'm saying? So if it was just one person, then that would be a vine. But when you look at it, I just see it as a whole. As we proceed, maybe my thinking would change a little bit depending on how it's broken down. But as of verse 7, that's what I'm seeing. Then another thing I wanted to point out, verse 7, and then I'm going to move forward. I think yourself, he read it. Maybe that's in ISR, how he read it. But he said, and the man of Judah. But in a lot of versions, it say men of Judah.
Yeah, mine say people of Judah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So
I'm
wondering why. What's going on there, because when you look at it in the Hebrew, it say Weish, and that's singular. Ish is singular. That's a man. So of Judah, maybe it's one of those things where it say men, but it's really talking about as a collective thing. I don't know. I can't really say because I ain't the one that wrote this. So, but what I can verify and what I can say is true, that's not plural. That's singular right there. So I don't know the thought process behind writing that in a singular form, but it does not say men, and a lot of versions say men. So I don't know, I don't know if that's the right thing to do to make it say men when it don't say men. I just want to point that out.
Right.
For those that didn't know that.
Now capitalizing on that, and we're going to go forward because I'm going to read the verses he asked me to read. And my question real quick, what are the prophets mostly? Who are they of? What tribe? Do you all know? Or do anybody know?
Well,
I think they was from a different one.
Well, as you just broke something in my head. At this time, it ain't nothing but Judah. Okay, so at this point in time, ain't nobody in Israel but Judah. Because Israel, the house of Israel, has been removed, as we went through in Kings. And now, when we went to chapter 1, this is talks about, like Yediyah said, this is the visions of Isaiah and the things that he said to the tribe of Judah. So it had nothing to do with Israel at this time. So it's a possibility this man of Judah could possibly be Isaiah at this time. This man of Judah could possibly be the prophet, because you know what I'm saying? And that's like you said, it says man. So that is a very good observation. I didn't know this. It's something you just brought that out. But at this time, these prophets, or this prophet, he's from Judah.
Now, I want to bring something out.
Yeah, because
before I go anywhere else.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The reason I'm going back and forth with you all because I'm using y'all points to bring out what I've seen, and it's funny how y'all got the points, and it's all connected. Now, when I think of vine and vineyard, I think of the prophets or prophet in the vineyard where Yediyah was, like Mother Mercy would say so eloquently, bringing out the vineyard are the people. Okay, so we have, now when you go back in context and read this, I'm going to go ahead and read 1 through 6 real quick, y'all, from my version, because I didn't want to go through all this like this, but it's just as we was going, it's like, man, why not? So we got, I will now sing on behalf of my beloved songs concerning his vineyard, right? My beloved had a vineyard in a fertile corner. He fenced it around and cleared its stones. He planted it with choice shoots and built a tower inside it. He even hewed a wine vat in it. He hoped to produce fine grapes. Yeah, you did, y'all was saying. But it produced only inferior grapes. Now, we got prophets that's coming and they bringing this, hoping to change their ways, but they ain't listening. They producing sour stuff, right? Let's keep going. This is Shema speaking right now, y'all. This is not doctrine. This is just what I'm seeing. I just want you all to know that. But it's lining up, in my opinion. So my beloved said, now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and people of Judah, judge between me and
see,
my
hold on,
vineyard.
stop right there. In mine, it say, and when I'm just looking at this one, it says, in man of Judah. So does that in the original say the same thing as Ish? You know what I'm saying? So we could be talking about the same man of Judah. I want to make sure that we are in context and we're making sure that we are hitting point to point. Are we talking about the same man of Judah? Now, I don't know if it's now at this point, if it's... No, I'm saying I don't know if this point, because like I said, it's just a way of translating. I'm going to go back to the original translation, but what you call it. But if you got it on deck real quick, does that say Ish as far as a singular? And then therefore, when I see man of Judah again, it could be this same man of Judah he's talking about, or maybe this is actually people and the other one is man. That's all I'm asking.
I see what you're saying. Is it? Are you on there yet?
Give me a minute to look it up. Let them keep going, and I'll look it
keep
up.
going then.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So keep that in mind, y'all. What he's trying to do, he's trying to see if that verse right there is the same word for the one that y'all was bringing out and he read as far as man. Okay, let me keep going because I'm trying to make a point. Verse 4. What more can be done for my vineyard, and I have not done for it? And I have not done for it. His vineyard, right? The vineyard is supposed to be the people. This attaches what Yadigal was bringing out. Why? Though I had hoped to produce fine grapes, did it produce only inferior grapes? That's verse 4. Here's verse 5. So now I will tell you what I am doing to my vineyard. I will remove its hedge, and it will be consumed, which we've been seeing that he's about to do. I will breach its fence, and it will be trampled, which we're going to see in the next few chapters. I will make, the next few chapters are going to be letting you know what's going to be done. Verse 6, I will make it a wasteland. It will not be pruned, and it will not be hoed. Thorns and weeds will grow, and I will command the clouds not to pour rain on it. This is talking about the people at this point, because I think it's the difference between vine and vineyard. It's a reason why I'm bringing that out. Verse 7, now the vineyard of Yah, masters of legions, is the house of Israel, and the people of Judah are the shoot of his delight. Now, I like this. I like the man, like he said. He brought out it was singular. The man of Judah are the shoot of his delight. He had hope for justice, right ruling, but behold, affliction. The righteous, but behold, outcry. Now, why are they the shoot of his delight, though? What are the prophets to him? They're very important. Prophets or prophets. And we just saw that the prophets at this time, and I believe just in general, are Judah. That's my take. But I want to see what you all say. Go ahead, Yada. You was about to bring something up.
Yeah, so in verse 3, where it say the inhabitants of Jerusalem and man of Yehuda, that is Weish again. So it is not plural. I don't know why they keep making this plural, but it's not plural in the Hebrew text. But
I love this. Yes.
My take is that it could possibly be referring to the king that's ruling over them, or because if this is Yeshua talking, if we can agree that it's Yeshua talking, he wouldn't be speaking of himself. So I would think that maybe because Ish could also mean champion or great man. So, it could be he could be saying the man of Yehuda, meaning that like he's the person that's over them. Because we know that it kept saying that the king led the people to sin. So that's just a take. Not saying it is.
And I think that's a good
100% correct.
I think it's a good take. Is look at verse 7. What would the king supposed to be to him as well? They were supposed to be, but look what he said at the end. He had hope for justice, but behold, affliction. He hoped for righteousness, but behold, an outcry. So when we and then I'm about to continue with my chapter because I don't have a lot. I don't think.
Wait a minute, because y'all about to have me straight up confused.
That's what I'm about. Wait. Before you go, let me say the last thing I'm gonna say. That's all about. The last thing. Hold on. It
go ahead.
this. Give me 1 second. What I was saying was the many variables. The many variables is this, man. If he's speaking of this man, I'm gonna go back to what you said. If the man is either king or prophet, just say any or, it can be bad prophets and bad kings. It doesn't necessarily have to be, king, meaning it got to be righteous, or prophet, it got to be a righteous prophet. Because in context of what he's saying right here, he said Judah are the shoot of his delight. That's what they are supposed to be. So it could be that king or that prophet. Hold on. Because I know yourself coming with it. But then it said he had hope for justice, but behold, affliction. So apparently, if Yeshua is speaking of what Yediyah just brought out, and he's speaking to these people, they were supposed to do this, and they didn't. And it's going to go into the next chapter, too, I'm going to bring out. But go ahead, yourself. That's what I'm seeing. So that's when I say variables.
I'm just saying this verbiage right here is super crazy, man, because as I'm reading it, man, and I'm only going to say, man, that it seems to be flipping here and there, but I see Isaiah talking, but Isaiah saying some stuff that I don't think he has I could be wrong, authority to say, like he say, what more can be done to my vineyard that I have not done it? Why, when I waited for you, but he right one. Okay, now please let me inform you what I am doing to my vineyard. To take away his hedge, and it shall be burned, to break his walls, and it shall be trampled down. And I lay it waste. I lay it waste like I would say, who do you think you are that you about to lay Israel waste, right? And it is not prone to dug and thorn bushes, the weed shall come up, and I commanded the clouds not to rain on it. Man, I can't even say. Maybe he can do that. We have seen prophets say what they want to say.
But he's speaking on behalf of God right now, though. Verse 1. Verse 1, he said he's speaking on behalf of him. Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. So this is what I'm saying. So if Isaiah is speaking on behalf of the Most High, then I can probably see that too. You know what I'm saying? And like Yediyah say, the man of Yehuda could be the king. But I guess at this point it could be the king or Isaiah if he's speaking on behalf of the Most High. But then the verse goes back to let's say something else. Hold on. Man, look at 7 for the vineyard.
Too, y'all. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
He looked for right. He looked for right ruling. He looked for right ruling, but see oppression, for righteousness, but see weeping. You know what I'm saying? And it's like he looks like he's saying
so that's
right ruling.
Right. So that's why I say when you go through it, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to cut you off, but I think if I say this, we could probably move forward. But I'm just looking at the context of it. So if you go back up to 5, it say, now let me, that's Yeshayahu. We agree there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved. That's talking about Yah, regarding his Yah's vineyard. So now this is Yeshayahu singing, my well-beloved has a vineyard. So on and so forth. Keep going. So he, that's Yah, expected it to bring forth good grapes, but it brought forth wild grapes. Now we jumping down to verse 3. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and man of Yehuda. If he's singing this, he's not talking about himself. Judge, please.
Right. What I'm saying is, this is why I go down to what I was saying. It's like weird, because now he talking about.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's why I was saying. You telling me that you about to take away, you're not about to cause rain upon it. You about to lay it waste. Now I know the Most High said he was gonna do this, okay? But the way he talking, like he's finna do.
Yeah, but it's a song.
You know what I'm saying?
Though.
That's why I say I understand what it is. But he's saying
that's
it
like
as if
that's
he
like
has
if
that
Shema
authority.
was singing a song You know what I'm saying? And then in a part in the song, he was like, "You were supposed to love me," but he talking about the female that he was involved with, right? Now we know Shema ain't talking. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
Right, man.
Hey,
let's keep going, y'all. Let's keep
we
going.
gonna keep
Let's
move
keep
on.
going,
I got for sure.
He didn't like
parts.
that song.
I gotta. No, it was good. I mean, but I'm looking
I'm
at
just playing.
a lot of points.
Let go.
And I want to get these points out so we can keep moving. I don't want to take too much of everybody's time. So, all right. So we gonna let that sit for a minute, and then we gonna allow the scriptures to prevail as we keep going. So, going into I'm gonna jump down to verse 11. 11 through 14. And I'm just going to read the first verse. It says, verse 11, "Woe to those who arise early in the morning to pursue liquor, who stay up late at night while wine inflames them." And as you read through 11 to 14, because I'm not going to read it all, because I need to go a little faster. It's really, from what I'm seeing, is the ignorance of Yerushalayim, or Jerusalem, will cause its own destruction due to these things. Now, it talks about, in the version that I have, where is it at? It talks about verse 14. I don't know what it says in the KJV, but it says, "Therefore, the netherworld." What does it say in KJV? "Has enlarged its appetite and opened its mouth wide without limit, and into it will descend her," which is Jerusalem. And when I looked up the word, of course, it's Sheol, which has a few different meanings. But what does it say in KJV? And the reason I came up what I said, I said the ignorance of Jerusalem will cause its own destruction due to these things, due to the things that was mentioned through the verses of 11 to 14. So, whether you want to say it cause them go in the grave or cause their destruction or death or netherworld living or whatever, these things that they are acting as is what caused it. That's basically what I wanted to bring out, 11 through 14. I want to go to 16. It says, "Yah, Master of Legions, will become exalted through judgment, and the Holy God will be sanctified through justice." So what I put is what sanctifies him, what sanctifies Eloheinu, or our God, is the right ruling done by him, whether it's justice or punishment towards the wicked within Israel or within whatever group you want to put in place. It's done by him and his vineyard. And I say vineyard, I'm using that word verbiage right now because we're starting to see what that vineyard is. And we know that he used Israel to do a lot of his judgment in prior chapters, contextually. Verse 17, where am I? "Then the sheep will graze in their usual way, and sojourners will eat of the ruins of the fattened animals," is what mine say. Feel free, you all, those that's going to talk about my chapter or speak on the chapter I'm speaking, to read that version, of course, take notes on it. But what I have is the sheep, and we understand what the sheep are. The sheep are those who follow or adhere to Yah along with the sojourners. Now, the sojourners are included in this. The fattened animals are those who Yah is speaking of taken from the people. In other words, they are the wicked. Those that have taken from the people. And we're going to see that, I believe, in the following chapters to come, unless I skipped it in my own chapter. Yeah. For my people. I might have skipped it in my own chapter. Hold on, I'm sorry, you all.
I just want to say while he doing that, man, we've come a long way from songs, because this man's song don't even rhyme. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of like rhyming songs. This man just spitting. And I seen some of the. I seen some other songs, in the Old Testament, man. That song they sing to the. None of them rhyme.
It might rhyme in Hebrew though.
Hey, you know what?
Right. Got him.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Okay. Yes. So it goes in what I was saying. So if you go back to verse 7 and verse 8, it says, I'm going to read it now. Well, we know what verse 7 says, but verse 8 says, woe to you who cause house to encroach against house and make field approach field. And I know what KJV said, but I can't remember what it says. Until there is no more place. Are you the only ones to be settled in the midst of the land? So going back to what I said in verse 17, they were taken from the people. They were striking. They was harming the people. So, they are the fattened animals that it's speaking of in this sense. They are the wicked among them. I want to go to verse 18. Woe to those who pull iniquity. Now, this is interesting, you all, because I wanted to see how to bring this out, but it says, woe to those who pull iniquity from themselves with cords of falsehood and sin like the ropes of a wagon. Can somebody read to me what KJV say for that, verse 18? Mine say, woe to those who pull iniquity upon themselves with cords of falsehood. That's deep. And sin like the ropes of a wagon. What does verse 18 say?
Oh, it say, woe to those who draw iniquity with cords of vanity and sin as if with a cart rope.
With a cart rope. Even in KJV is deep. It's even deep in that. So I looked into it, and one of the things I had pulled from it was this. So these are not my words, but it says, Isaiah said, woe to those drawing error with ropes of untruth, and as with wagon cords sin. And what was said was perhaps to indicate their attachment to error and sin in a way similar to that in which animals are bound with ropes or by cords to the wagons they draw behind them. So it's like they're continuing to be attached in error. They're not following Yah. And we see that contextually come to this part. They're just attached to it, just like animals is to wagons. So I thought that was it's nothing special, but I like to get into the mind of this, right, like how he's speaking. It's interesting. And let me go down to verse 20. Woe to those who say that evil is good and good is evil, who make darkness into light and light into darkness. They make bitter into sweet and sweet into bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and who view themselves as understanding. I thought that was deep. We already good with verse 20. People know how that goes with what they were doing. They was, I think this attaches, verse 20 attaches to what we saw when it say right. He did what was right in Yah's eyes. Or he did what was wrong in Yah's eyes. This is why I brought out a while back, like what's right in his eyes might actually be wrong in the people's eyes. Or vice versa. And I think this verse 20, it kind of attaches to that thought. Verse 21, I think is interesting due to how they view themselves as understanding. So it ain't you can't tell them nothing. They think they have it all. They think that they understand what it is the Most High is putting out there through the righteous prophets or the righteous kings, but yet they don't got it together. They don't got it at all. They're not understanding. So I thought that was pretty deep. Last thing that I have is 25 through 26. Therefore, Yah's wrath has flared up against his people, and he has stretched forth his hand against them and stricken them. The mountains have quaked, and their corpses are like refuse in the middle of the streets. Yet, still his wrath has not ceased, and his hand is still stretched out. I'm gonna tell you what that means in a second. He will raise a banner for far off nations, and he will whistle for the enemy to come, for the ends of the earth. And behold, he will come with quickness, with alacrity. I don't even know what that word is. But basically, verse 25, 26, they didn't adhere to the punishment for lack of obedience of his instructions. What I mean by that is, even through what he was doing, even through the testimony, even through the things that was happening to them, they still did not get it. So you know what? You didn't get it. I'm going to bring people from far off to put you into this. This is what's going to happen to you. So that's what's happening right here. And that's all I have for this chapter, man. I ain't going to keep going. So I want to pass it to who has the next chapter? You there? Yeah? I want to pass it to Yaya,
so.
And then pass it to, of course, yourself. Then Brother Mercy, he's in the queue, so we're going to bring him in. And then back to you, Yaya.
Hi, man. Honestly, I mean, a lot of this is self-explanatory. I would just say pay attention to the woes, so we know what are things that we should stay away from. One is like, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. I would say in context he's speaking directly to these people, but if he got an issue with these people doing it, I'm sure he'll have an issue with us doing it too. So I would just say pay attention to the woes in this chapter. And again, I want to point out in verse 19, this like alias of the Most High, because it say, and let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel. So that's why if y'all listen to the prayer, I put that in the prayer, because I wanted to relate to the stuff that we're going over. So I think I'm going to keep that mentality as we move forward. If I, for each season, if I'm the one doing the prayer, I'm going to try to add what's else, what we going over into the prayer. So I think that's important to know. We keep seeing this reference of the Holy One of Israel. So we know as of right now, we've seen this continually being spoken of Yah or Yod He Waw He. So in my mind, I wouldn't see it switching later on. So I think that's something to hold on to and keep in mind. It talks about the people going into captivity have gone. So we talking about some people have already went to captivity. So that's important. And then, like I said, I don't want to go too much. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Hold on, that's in 6. Excuse me. All right, man. I ain't got nothing else.
All right, I'm gonna be real quick with this. Like this time frame thing like we're talking about. Obviously, when we went to the end of 2 Kings, I'll repeat this again, that by the end of 2 Kings, it was telling you that it was most of the people have been taken into captivity. They have been exiled, this, that, and the other. So now Isaiah's going backwards. Now you're putting Isaiah and fitting him into the time frame in between there. All right, I just wanted to point that out. And it was something that was said in there that I said. I point out, he said, I warned you by my servants, the prophets, okay? So here is Isaiah being one of the servants, the prophets, that is doing the warning, all right? So I'm going to continue to stress that we're taking, here's 1st and 2nd Kings, now we're taking Isaiah, and we're putting him where he belongs, and we'll probably have to do that with every last one of the prophets, until they re-inhabit the land. I'll say it like that. So that's that. Like I say, this is warning, and yes, some people did go into exile, but I don't know if this is even talking about some of the people that went into exile in Judah, like they did. Like remember, some people went, then it came back and grabbed some more people, and it came and grabbed some more people. As far as I believe it was Nebuchadnezzar at the time that it said when Babylon came. But he said he's going to send some people, and now Babylon came and snatched up some stuff according to 2 Kings. They was the people. All right. But know that if I'm not mistaken, the house of Israel, they're exiled. They got snatched up. Okay? So it will also be references to Judah about they gonna call them their sister later on, but about these other tribes, like they gonna want, this is the way the Most High, like, man, look, I've already did it. Don't think I won't do it to you. And I'm giving you a chance, so you can get it right before I come do the same thing I did. You know what I mean? Before. So I'm just a reminder, if y'all didn't really go over, if y'all read even if you don't want to read all of 2 Kings, just read. I guess just read from 22 on, 19 on, and ain't nothing like that, 24 chapters or something like that, 25 or something like that. And you would see what happened. So anytime this man is talking about some people already in Jerusalem, we're going, this event had happened already, and we read it in 2 Kings. That's my main point, okay? Because we have to get a timeline established if we're going to understand what this word is saying. This is something I haven't done beforehand, but I'm doing it week by week with you guys, and we're trying to get this collectively together. So that's why, when we going over some of this stuff, if any of you guys got information on this would be great, because it edifies me also on what I'm trying to accomplish, because it's one of my goals from completing these books is trying to figure out what goes where and how I should be viewing this thing. I feel like if scholars could sit back and do this thing, or they feel like they're scholars and they could do this thing, their brain is not more they're not smarter than I am. They might be able to run through this book quicker, than we have ran through it, but that doesn't mean that we can't get the information. And we serve a powerful Most High, where He can give us all the information we need, and He can give us the spirit of wisdom to understand what is going on. If we don't understand it, I'm positive that He'll give it to us later on. That's how I operate. So that's it. And I guess you opened up for Brother Mercy. Hold on, let me make sure. Let me bring him in.
Can you bring it in for me, please?
Yeah. Give me a second. Had to go pull it up. Hold on, Brother Mercy. We will be to you, and you are live. You live, Brother Mercy. Happy Sabbath, yes, brothers.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I like to deal with Isaiah 5:7 to deal with some of your questions, Shema. It says in my translation, I am the Lord all-powerful. Israel is the vineyard, and Judah is the garden. I tended with care. I had hoped for honesty and for justice, but dishonesty and cries for mercy were all I found. Honesty and cries for mercy were all I found, but I wanted I hope for honesty and justice. I like to deal with a couple words here, because sometimes we look at English words and sometimes we don't know what they mean. And I just deal with the English, all right? It's a contrast between garden and vineyard. And I know in your translation it makes a contrast between vineyard and vines. I get it. Let's deal with the vineyard according to the definition of a vineyard. You might be surprised, brothers, but a vineyard, by definition, means a plantation.
Hey, Brother Mercy, you fading in and out, brother.
Okay.
I didn't pick up what you said.
Okay. In Isaiah 5:7, in my translation, it makes a contrast between the vineyard and a garden. In your translation, it may say vineyard and vines, but in mine it says vineyard and garden. What you might be surprised to know is what a vineyard is, because sometimes we have to define these English words that we're hearing. A vineyard is a plantation of grapevines. Watch this. Typically producing grapes used in winemaking. It's a plantation. All right, brothers. What's a plantation? Glad you asked. We should all know what a plantation is, but in case you don't know, I'll look it up for you. A plantation, an estate of which crops such as coffee, sugar, and tobacco are cultivated by resident labor. Okay? Now, then it says, an area in which trees have been planted, especially, watch this, for commercial purposes. Plantations are for commercial purposes. What does that mean? A man that has a plantation is selling crops to customers. Is raising crops for himself. What is Brother Mercy trying to say? Israel is the plantation. Judah is the garden or the vine that he takes delight in. In other words, Israel, he's raising those crops for commercial use. And then, and Isaiah brings this out later on in the chapter, he talks about this. He talked about the 10 acres of grapes only able to produce, where is that at? In verse 9, it says, but the Lord all-powerful has made this promise to me. Those large and beautiful homes will be left empty with no one to take care of them. 10 acres of grapevine will only produce 6 gallons of juice. That's not a lot of juice for 10 acres of land or grapevines. So what is Isaiah saying? Israel got these acres of plantations, but not much juice, not many jugs of juice are coming from it. And you got all these acres of grapevines, but you only got 6 gallons of juice. Okay? And then you got Judah, who is a garden. And if you know anything about a garden, according to definitions, a garden is planted near a house and is normally used for the family. So there's a difference. So I just want to bring that out about the purposes. The purpose between Israel and Judah, the different purposes between the two. And Isaiah is bringing these, comparing and contrasting these two. So I just wanted to say that difference right there. I thought it was beautiful. I thought that was beautiful to me. I think that's astounding to me to know that the Most High had a different purpose for Israel and it had a separate purpose for Judah. I just wanted to say that. And, that's what I got from those verses from that chapter is that I just want to know what you think about that, about Israel being like a plantation. And, our ancestors were on plantations, brothers. And Judah was like the little flower garden outside your house. I wonder what you think about that. Or if you disagree or agree. But Brother Mercy out.
Thank you, Brother Mercy. This is Shema. And I want to say that it's still, I think we all say the same thing. I think what you brought out elaborated and further brought some clarity for the listeners and ourselves as well. I think ultimately, in essence, we're saying the same thing as far as the difference in what they were. You know what I'm saying? So that's my take.
I'll go ahead and go. So that was very interesting. So I didn't see that coming. So, I appreciate the comment and the insight that you have pertaining that. I would say that they are, different because even from the beginning, when Yehuda was actually just Yehuda before he grew into a tribe, there were certain things that were said about Yehuda, saying that there would be no ruler or whatever. So basically, Yehuda was already set apart to be in that rulership position. So I would agree in that aspect of it. So that's my take.
I believe it says the scepter will not depart from Judah. and understanding for Judah would be a law maker, law giver, or something like that. It's the blessings or whatever of Judah. Judah is different from the house of Israel, and it has been set apart. But let's keep this 1,000, and Judah then did worse than the house of Israel, according to what the Most High said. Y'all been worse than the people I brought you in there. Y'all worse than any. Man, we had a generation that was even worse. So, that just makes me wonder how far along we've gotten to being even worse. To be honest with you. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna go into all the tribes and who they are now, who I think they are, just because there's no proof behind what I would say. So I'm going to leave that there. And Yosef, out.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and pass it on to Yedaya, I believe. If so, the floor is yours.
All right, so I know we want to get to 7 and 8, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, not too quick, because I want y'all to get something out of it. But first thing I want to do is get into a little bit of the context. So starting at verse 1, this is talking about where Isaiah is called to be a prophet. So we kind of, like yourself, I'm in the same boat with him. We trying to fill out this timeline, because that's going to be the deciding factor of a lot of things. So when we look at it, like I pointed out, which was something that I didn't know. I didn't know Isaiah was in the time was written about in the book of Kings. So we saw him in 2 Kings. So, and it seemed like, he was established back then. So this right here is actually before he was established as a prophet. Because when we read about him in 2 Kings, they was like, go to the man of God. So he was already established. They knew he was a prophet in the context of 2 Kings. So this had to be even before that. Because if you read it, say, in the year that the king Uzziah died, right? Let's go back and see when Uzziah. 2 Kings 15 is when he was king of Judah. Now, this is talking about when he died. We didn't see Isaiah's name pop up till like 2 Kings 20, around there. So we see that he died, and so this is matching up. We see the timeline, okay? So as we bounce back and forth, we could kind of gauge some type of timeline. So right here, this is when Isaiah was called to be a prophet, right? Because when you read this, it says, when he died, it say, I saw the Lord sitting on the throne. Now, we know he didn't literally see the Lord sitting on the throne. He wasn't up in the Shamayim. We talked about this before. So this has to be like a vision, right? And then it goes into talking about he saw these seraphim, and they was hollering, holy, holy, holy. I would encourage you to read this to get all the details, but I'm just going to briefly go over it. Then when you get to 5, he says, so I said. So that's Yeshayahu, Isaiah. He said, so I said, woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips. So at this time, he's saying basically like, I'm unworthy, to do this. I'm not like super righteous, super holy. Like, I don't feel that way, right? And he said, I dwell in the midst of people of unclean lips. So he's like, my people is wicked, right? So, I'm sure we could relate to that. We sitting around, we looking, and we, feel like Most High called us, and we say, I'm bringing a little sense of reality right now, but we feel like, man, my people wicked. These people just wicked, man. I don't know what to do. I'm not even sure I'm 100% righteous myself. So that's why I'm kind of seeing this, and I feel that this is real, this is real literature right here. He's not trying to. Whoever wrote this is not trying to. They giving 100% facts on how the person felt about themselves. I feel like this is a great thing because how Yeshayahu or Isaiah is regarded as a righteous man of God. Even himself looked at himself not, as if he had unclean lips. So, moving forward, he said, "For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts." Now, I said this a while ago. I went a little bit too far down in my notes. But I think this is a great point here because it shows that Yeshayahu recognizes Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh as king. Now, you could take that with a grain of salt, but I just, he referenced Yah of hosts as king. That can go as far as you want it to go. But for me, I just felt that was important because of the whole thing about where he said, "I was your king," so on and so forth. So I'm not going to harp too much on that. I just want to bring that out. Then you keep going. It just keeps talking about what he saw in his vision or whatever. And he said that he was going to, put the coal on his mouth, right? And it was going to touch his lips, and his iniquity will be taken away, and your sin purged, right? So I think this right here is, like I said, it's a vision, but there's something within this vision I think is a lesson to be learned here. So let's back up a little bit. You say he got unclean lips, right? And then they talking about he's going to put this coal, a live coal, which he had taken with the thongs from the altar, touched my mouth with it and said, "Behold, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is taken away, and your sin purged." What does this indicate? Basically, that by this, his lips being unclean, but this coal touching his mouth from the altar, and now all of a sudden his sin is purged, his iniquity is taken away. Is it by his deeds, his works of what he's about to go do and speak to the people and warn the people? Because this is before he was established now. So he's reverting back to when he was actually called to do this work. So by his works, is he now being purged of his iniquity? Is he being purged of his sins by his works, by his warning the people? That's just something to think about. Y'all can answer that if y'all would like. But I just want to put that out there for it to marinate on the minds. And that's all I got for this one.
All right.
I'm
gonna bring yourself in.
I was just gonna go in since I knew I was the same person. My bad. Try to keep it more flowingly. I'll try to be on point when it's my turn since I know the order, and I kind of like that order. I don't know if y'all do. As far as not some random, you know what I mean? I kind of like knowing when I'm coming in, so that's kind of cool. I like that tradition, Shema. I'll just put that out there. But as
that's
far
yours
as
anyway. I took from you.
I know, but you made it a tradition. You know what I'm saying? I thought about it, then you made it a tradition. You kept it going, and after I seen it, like, okay, you know what, this can actually work. But anyway, as far as the question that he asked, was he purged from his sins because of his works? I don't know. When I looked at it, I saw that he was purged from his sins for the work. Okay, just a slight difference. That he had took his sins away, or whatever, covered his sins. So now he can do the work, which that in turn made me think of some stuff, but I don't know how true it is. It just made me think like, you know, the Most High got to be the one appointing you to go somewhere and do some stuff. Look, that's one point blank there. I don't think this is going to just happen. I mean, we have to be 100%. I know everybody wants to be something or do something, but according to Scripture, everybody just wasn't walking around being something and called something. And I know when I was growing up, you know, in the churches and stuff like that, it was always, you know, kind of told to me that everybody has some kind of miraculous job that they do, and they have an office that they're supposed to be in. But according to Israel, what I see in the Bibles thus far, everybody, you don't have to have a job. You can just be a righteous man. You know what I'm saying? But everybody wants to be a prophet or something like that, a teacher. And I think that's what a lot of juxtaposition is, even on Facebook. I'm just going to say this, just say this real quick. A lot of juxtaposition even on Facebook to prove themselves to being something. Nobody wants to be normal. Okay? There's nothing wrong with just being a normal person. And that's where we get all these false teachings and doctrines and stuff like that. Because a lot of these people is not appointed by the Most High or told by the Most High or approved to do the work. So you got a lot of confusion. But I think that more so that, you know what I'm saying, the way I see it, it's a little bit twisted, not purged from it, from in a sense because of the work, but purged so he can do the work. And that's just a personal opinion, I guess, at this point. You know, you just asked me what I thought, and I say that only because it's like, well, I'm a man of unclean lips, and it's not like he did anything beforehand. He was like, okay, boom, took a coal over there, gave it to him, all right, now you're gonna go do what I asked you to do. That's how way I saw it. So that's the answer to that. And
hey, before you keep going, so I like the way you worded it. I feel like I should have worded it better. So I'm in total agreement with you by you saying that basically what I would like to convey is that, you know, he was purged for a work. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And in his work, basically, he's made clean. So
you was just basically saying the same thing?
Yeah, I just kind of said it. Right, I just kind of said it a little off. But I like the way you said it because it make more sense of what you're saying. So basically, like the coal hit his lip, because the coal hitting his lip is for him to go speak the word. Basically, he was, the word was put on his lips. You know, that burning fire was put on his lips for him to speak out. Basically, like, because if you put coal on somebody's lip, they gonna holler. So just for his mouth to open and it's saying your mouth is clean to speak, because he was saying my mouth is unclean, I can't really speak to these people. And then, boom, put the coal on and say you're pure, you're clean, you can speak out. So basically, like, at the time when somebody goes out, they are put in a position to speak to the people, and through their works, you know what I'm saying, they already been purified to do so, but the works are attached to that purity is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I totally agree.
If he wasn't going to go out to do the works, then he wasn't.
You ain't going to be pure. But
right.
Most I knew he was going to go out. That's why he chose him, too, because Isaiah was just talking, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to say crazy, but, I mean, notice how he was like, man, we haven't addressed that about the don't forgive them. You know what I'm saying? He kind of serious with Israel, you know what I'm saying, about the things that he's doing. And then here come the Most High say, all right, you know what I mean? You know, had a little song to me and all that. You talk about it, all right, well, who you gonna do this work for me? Basically, I got some work for you then. I'm going to use you. Okay? That's what I've been seeing is as far as like, wow, you know, this is where he got kind of sanctioned to go speak. But beforehand, we hear him speaking. We hear him have this song. You know what I'm saying? We hear him say some stuff, this, that, and the other. But this timeline is amazing to me. But I'm going to keep going so I don't just take up too much time. All right, I got to go back to this version. Actually, I didn't. had a question. This is the biggest question I've probably ever had on this show. Boom, boom. So, in 8, all right, brothers, in 8. And I heard a voice of the Most High. Well, this actually says Yahweh, but I think in the interlinear it says the Lord. So I heard a verse of Adonai. Adon. I'll have to see which one it is, but it doesn't matter. Saying, who do I send and who would go for us? All right. And I said, here I am, send me. All right. Who is us? That's one question. And then the verb of do I send, of course, is singular. Who would go for us? And everything after that. I got that. That's a question. Who is the us? And we might have to go to the internet. I was looking at it, and it didn't. I don't think it used. I don't think it used new. It was like me at the end. When what I was looking at, I'm like me. Okay, whatever. Neither here nor there. Something that y'all got to look into or whatever. And I'm not to assume or anything else, but as I'm looking, like if I don't believe in certain stuff, of course, coming into this. So this question is an open question. It's not something to bring out. It's not to prove anybody. And it's not to be taken with and ran from one end of the world to the next with a whole analogy and take this scripture and say, see, this proves something. No, it doesn't. This proves nothing at this point. I just have a question, okay? And I hate when people use unknown verse in the Bible and they make a whole doctrine or they have a question. They would throw a question out there like I just threw out the question and say, well, if you don't believe in the Trinity, who is the us? And like, it don't say who the us is. I don't think it did, but I could be wrong. So that's my question to the panel members. And y'all can answer that right now. Shema,
First of all,
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, man. That don't even look right.
First of all, it's a vision.
Mhm.
Okay.
I know, but who is he talking about? What is that?
I know.
Okay, is this the angels or am I tripping?
That's what I'm saying. We also see that he's talking about seraphim. That's coming to him and speaking to him. And he pointed out more than one seraphim because it's plural, seraphim. You know what I'm saying? So that's first of all.
And then also we know that messengers. And we also know that messengers used to go down there and speak. You know what I'm saying? So that wouldn't even be far fetched either, because the Most High used to use messengers. Say he did that for Abraham and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? To give messages of what's going to happen to Sodom and Gomorrah. It was messengers. It was this he used.
The crazy part about it is capitalized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's the stuff that be getting on my nerves, man. Like, how's you trying to make people lean towards something? No, leave it lowercase. When do you ever write in English? When do you ever capitalize us? Unless it's the first word in the sentence, and that wouldn't even make sense. Us go to the store or something like that. Come on, man. Like, people doing this stuff for real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
because
anyway,
there's an agenda behind it.
It's a
and
whole
there is
bunch
no
of stuff, man.
Right.
Anyway,
but
let me
I'm gonna
get
keep
off
on
that.
going.
We got to move forward.
I'm gonna keep on going. Then the Most High basically. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I said it right. Then the Most High was telling Isaiah right after that, hearing you hear but do not understand, and seeing you see but do not know. Make the heart of this people fat, and their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and shall turn and be healed. That was deep to me. You know what I'm saying? Because what I thought he was saying is, say what I'm going to tell you to say is going to convict them and make them start to listen and turn from what they going through and be healed. Right? Then I said, until when? And he answered, until the cities are laid waste and without inhabitant, and the houses are without man, and the land laid waste and ruined. So, going backwards, like we just said, this is before they got taken out of the land.
Hey, one thing, man, because I left this open for y'all to hit. But, man, I mean, when you really look at this, you get, and I don't want to jump forward because, I'll be the main one, so I don't want to be no hypocrite. But what I will say is that just pay attention to where he said for how long. Until the cities are made desolate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once the cities are made desolate, that's when it should stop. Just keep that in mind.
You talking about his prophesying, or what you saying?
Right. His hold on. Keep on hearing, but do not understand. Make the hearts of the people dull. All this stuff that it's saying, because all right. Let me just bring it to our day and age. Basically, people be like, the Most High done cut off your hearing and all this stuff like that. And they'll try to allude to this. This ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Or yourself, or Shema, or Brother Mercy, Jeff, Hokman, none of us. This got nothing to do with us. Don't be trying to use this to say that, the Most High done cut off your hearing. Read the context. This is talking about until he wiped them out the land.
Right, because there wouldn't even be no need after that. So anyway, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Totally. And that's a big thing we have to always remember and always understand who is being spoken to and what is the time frame. Because other than that, we can't apply every scripture to us. Okay? I used to. All right? I no longer sit there and say, he said he will bless who bless me and curse who curse me. He didn't tell me that personally. All right? He said it to a couple people. Abraham, one of them. Okay? I'm not Abraham. My name ain't even Abraham. I just got an A in my name. Okay? So, with that being said, you have to be very careful on what we project is about us and what we don't, because the whole book is not about it. Some of these are testimonies, right? That's just like me telling a testimony about getting a new job, you know what I'm saying, because I walk to the store every day. Now, you think you're supposed to walk to the store every day to get a job. Nobody. Don't work like that. All right, your little situation might be different. I'm just saying. But I didn't have nothing after that. This is real short. That's it. That's all I have for that. So I yield the mic back to Shema.
Well, I just got one thing. I had a few, but I'm just gonna say one of the things because we got 2 chapters. So you already touched on a lot of stuff. So anyway, the last one I want to bring out was verse 13. No. Is it verse 13? Why do I have 12 in here? Okay, let me read 12 and 13. Let me see. I will drive the people far away, and abandon will be great. I mean, the land. No, I got to be verse 13. Okay. No. This is chapter 6, right? Yeah. All right. Sorry, y'all. Here we go. There will be 10 more kings in it. It shall regress and become barren, like an elm and an oak, which, when shedding their leaves, still have vitality in them. So will the holy seed be the vitality of the land. Now, who is the Holy Seed?
Wait a minute. Whoa, wait 1 minute. You say what verse and what's going on? Because mine don't read none of that. What did it say to read it again? Read
what's your verse 12?
Again.
What's your verse?
12?
You got 13 or 12. Yours goes to
I got
12
13 verses. 13.
All right.
And you saying something about 10 kings?
We in chapter 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, read your 13. I was like, I'll read it because y'all take it slow.
But still, there's a 10th part in it. He said, but still there's a 10th part in it, and shall again be for a burning, like a terebinth tree, and like an oak, whose stump remains when it is cut down. The set apart seed is its stump.
I ain't say nothing about tribes, man. Where you get tribes from?
I said, you say 10 kings left?
It has, mine has in a little bracket, so don't worry about the kings. It says 10 more, and in the little bracket, it has kings in it. So if they put kings, whatever, they put kings. But my point wasn't the first part. My point was the last part of what you said, when you had said, still have vitality in them. You didn't say that, but you said about the holy seed. Or what do yours say? Set apart seed, righteous seed. What does it say in King James Version?
Wow.
I mean, holy, set apart, same thing. I don't wordplay.
So will the holy seed be the vitality of the land? So my point was, who is the holy seed? So what I wanted to do is, when you go back to, because I think that's important for us to know who the holy seed is. And if you all, I got in chapter 5.
I understand who the holy seed. I got a super question why did that. Now that you brought that up, this mark say, but still there is a 10th part in it, which is a small portion left in the land after it's been forsaken. It shall be again for a burning. What does that mean? That part. Do y'all know? Because it sounded to me that, okay, this small part is about to get some reparations, like they're going to get hit with something. Be again for the burning. I could have been reading that totally wrong. Like a terebinth tree and like an oak whose stump remains when it's cut down. And the set apart seed is a stump. So this small portion, which is the stump left in it, what does it mean for this small stump? And it shall again be for a burning. What does that mean? Did anybody know?
That could be a poetic speech, but it might go into what I was about to bring out. In chapter 4, when it reads, it says in chapter 4, let me read that real quick, and then maybe it can add to what you're asking. Verse 2 and verse 3, it says, on that day, Yah sprout, it says branches in KJV. On that day, Yah's branches, I guess, will come forth for splendor and honor, and the fruit of the land will be for pride and glory for the survivors of Israel.
Yeah.
Let me keep going. Of every remnant that will be in Zion and every remaining one in Jerusalem, holy will be said of him. So this goes back to who the holy seed is. The holy seed is Israel, people. I want you all to know that. And it's the remnant. It's that small stump he talking about.
The stump is the remnant. There you go.
Right.
So
I know who the remnant is. I know who the remnant is. I know that the holy seed is the remnant, the small amount of people that's still in the land. I mean, that's after this. So whoever is alive, that's what we just went over. That ain't even my question. My question is, what does it mean to say? Fire. Yeah, it says shall be again for a burning. Like,
okay, let me get into that. I got that for you.
Go ahead.
All right, so talking about 1/10 of the people that's going to be allowed to stay in the land. So everybody's not going to get exiled or go into captivity. Some people going to stay in the land. So, and it said basically, but it will be destroyed again. So this is not the first time that it's going to be destroyed. So this let us know it's going to be another time after this that it's going to be destroyed. So some people going to stay, and then another set of people going to come through, which I'm pretty sure that's going to be validated as we go forth, because not only once that this is going to happen to them. And then it's like it's talking about them being like now when we get into this tree talk, it's where we understand trees. When you chop down a tree, you're destroying a tree, right? But if you leave a stump, something will start growing out of that stump, and that tree will grow back again. So what is in analogy, when you look at it, that little remnant, like Shema said, that's left back, they're going to multiply more people in the land. Something's going to grow from that small remnant back in the land. So even though people are being taken out of the land, it's people that was left there.
Not gone. Right.
And they're going to get tried again.
Right.
By fire.
Right.
I'm just saying. I was just making sure that I was reading this right, because I'm like, man, and then in the small remnant, they don't get tried again by fire. That's the way I was kind of be like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, nah, man, it's just something personal. Like, yeah, that's deep.
Man.
Holy,
yeah.
So
Mercy in the queue.
Still a remnant.
We're gonna let him
Mercy
come.
in the crew. We got 3 minutes.
So
if
and
you're
we got 2
online
chapters
and you
left,
want to
y'all.
continue the dialogue, 2 chapters.
Yeah, we're about to go down. 7 and 8.
So
the virgin birth.
So the number, I don't even know the number high, y'all.
516-595-8238. It is 516-595-8238, and you know what to do when you get in there.
Right. So we got Mercy.
All right,
let him
go
come
ahead.
in, and then we going after that. We gotta let yourself go with the 7th chapter, so we can move on to the 8. Get this done. We got a little bit about an hour. So Mercy, you are.
I'm gonna make it
live.
quick.
Wait, hold on. I ain't pressed the button, Mercy. Hold on. It's not pressing. There we go. You are live. Mercy, you're live.
Isaiah chapter 6, verse 7, it says that he touched my mouth with it and said, listen. The first word he said was listen carefully. To me, when he touched his lips with the coal, I think it was so that he would listen. Because Isaiah was, I just believe that he wants Isaiah to listen to what he has to say. And so a coal, if it touches you, it could be hot, it could make you yell, scream, or it could be used to burn your lips. So you can't speak. Isaiah, of course, all this is a vision, and I believe Isaiah's having seeing all this. Maybe he wants, this is my take. I think he doesn't want Isaiah to speak. That's why he asked the question, like, who shall I send? He asked the question. Isaiah volunteered at that. Because he said, who shall I send?
I think the Most High is putting a coal on your phone because you getting muffled.
What?
You muffled, Brother Mercy.
Like nothing you saying. He said
we heard the listen part, and then like a listen, and then he said, "Who should I send?" I heard that part, and then this I seen a vision of a seraphim putting a coal on your microphone on your phone. And
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we listening.
Okay, I just wanted to say I think he wanted Isaiah to listen at that point, and then later on he tells him what to say. I don't think he wants Isaiah to speak presumptuously or just quickly, but I think he wants Isaiah to listen, and he burns his lips in the process. Because sometimes, even a fool, the scripture says, even a fool when he's quiet is thought wise. So sometimes, we have to be quiet and listen to what the Most High says. I think that's what he's doing with Isaiah here, because he tells Isaiah, after he shuts up, he says, oh, yeah, your sin's been forgiven. Isaiah is giving bad news to Israel. So when you're giving bad news, it's not always wise to speak all the time, especially if you're giving bad news to a people who think they're doing everything right, So I just wanted to say that. I think that's what he's telling them. But at the same time, and then, everybody uses scripture, the scripture right here about, we going later on about ever hearing and never perceiving or ever seeing and never, comprehending. We see a lot of people using these verses, but I really believe, and like you said, it has a time period after he says it's destroyed. So I think if Isaiah shuts up and doesn't warn the people, the cities will be destroyed. But that's just my take on it, and that's all it is.
Always an interesting take, as always. I promise that. So I'm going to take you out the queue. You know what to do. Press the 1. That's an interesting take. I'm not going to... Ain't nothing to say. I gave my take. So we're proceeding on. If that's okay with you guys, or you had something to say in response to Brother Mercy?
I did a little bit. It's real
okay,
short.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, I like the last part that he said. It complements what I said as far as the timeline of that, and people got to stop using it straight up. Because next time I see somebody use that, I'm straight bringing them to that scripture, and that's just what it is. Don't take it personal. And then the other thing is that's an interesting take with the cold thing about him shutting up, because if your mouth, I know me though, I would holler, but anyway, I think it's more so probably towards purifying, with a hot coal, that's how you purify something. He said his lips was unclean, so they put a hot coal on there to purify his lips. So that's really what I think it means. I was joking saying the hollering thing, but
right. And I think in context, he said I had unclean lips, and here's this cold. When you burn stuff to purify, you burn water to purify. So in retrospect, I'm gonna go with more so purify, because it's just what was said afterwards. It's not anything that I made up. So I'm just reading it for what it say. Well, I'm a man with unclean lips. Okay, here's this cold. Your sins are forgiven. Like, what was the cold for? If he put it on my lips, I said it's unclean, then I said it's clean. To me, that's 1, 2, 3.
That's
so
that is 1, 2, 3. Definitely. I'm
not gonna go nowhere else with that
either. I haven't heard you say 1, 2, 3, but that is 1, 2, 3. It's like shut up. It's like I'm gonna burn your lips off. Don't talk. Nah, I'm joking. But on the cool, that is 1, 2, 3. I think it's more so purifying, and I think that's like unargued.
Minimal, right?
Like everything else can be argued, but I don't think that can be argued with context. But that's it.
Good stuff. All right, we're gonna move on. This is some more 1, 2, 3 to me. All right, I ain't said that in a while. Okay, I'm going to read some of this. I have to read some of this. Actually, I'm going to how am I going to do this? I have to read some of it. I have to, because I feel like it has to, if you hear me summarize, and matter of fact, I will summarize, then I'll read it, because a lot of times people might say, oh, man, the brother summarized, give me what it is. This is so important that I feel like it needs to be talked about, because this is the virgin birth chapter, okay? Supposedly virgin birth, whatever you want to say, virgin mean or whatever, I am going to kind of get into that too, but this is the chapter, okay? This is supposed to be the prophecy of future hand that gets you where you need to be. This is how you know for sure one of the prophecies, or do you? This is what I said, the most controversial book in the Bible. Now let's jump into it. It came to be in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah. Okay, so now Uzziah died, then Jotham came, and now here Ahaz. So Isaiah's been around for a minute. He's been sanctioned for 2 kings' deaths after this. And then everybody can agree because we just went through that last chapter. I love how the word is laying this out. All right, and it says that sovereign of Judah, sovereign of Judah, which is Ahaz, that Rezin, okay, sovereign of Aram and Pekah, son of Remaliah, sovereign of Israel, went up to Jerusalem to fight against it, but could not prevail against it. All right, in summary, here we go. Ahaz is having a problem with 2 kings that I just read, and Isaiah is about to go tell him something about it because Ahaz is tripping. This is straight up what happens, and it's going to be a prophecy said to him. Let me keep on going. Now I'm going to just read some stuff. In 3, and the Most High, Yahweh, said to Isaiah, go out now and meet Ahaz. All right, so he's supposed to go out there. All right, in 4, and say to him, take heed and be calm. Do not fear or be faint-hearted. For the 2 stubs of smoking firebrands, the fierce displeasure of Rezin and Aram, and the son of Remaliah, because Aram, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliah have plotted evil against you, saying, let us go up against Judah and tear it down and break it open for ourselves, and set a sovereign over them, the son of Tabiah. Okay? So he went out there and said, hey, look, don't be tripping over these 2 kings. All right? So that's what he told him when he went out there to meet him. And then 7. Thus says Yod-Heh-Wad-Heh, the master, okay, it is not going to stand, nor shall it take place. Okay, so don't trip, like I keep saying. For the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin, and within 65 years Ephraim is to be broken as a people. And the head of Ephraim is Shemaron, and the head of Shemaron is the son of Remaliah. If you do not believe, you are not steadfast. Right? And then the Most High spoke again to Ahaz, saying, ask a sign for yourself from the Most High. Okay, I'm going to say that one time. Ask a sign for yourself from the Most High. Make deep the request or make it high. But Ahaz said, I did not try the Most High, Yahweh. And he said, hear now, O house of David, is it not enough that you weary me and that you weary my Elohim also? Therefore, Yod-Heh himself gives you a sign. Look, the virgin, okay, which is translated as Alma, which Alma is translated, the word is Alma, which is translated to young maiden. I guess some people can call it a virgin, but there's another word for virgin. It's Betula. Betula is a woman that has not had sex, is usually not even transferred over as anything else too much, especially when you go into the laws. From, the token of Betula, okay, the token of, it's when its reference is the virgin, as far as not having sex and being blamed of not being a virgin, it uses Betula. When it's especially like with marriage terms, this uses the word Alma, which is young maiden, young woman, all right? But look, the young woman, and I think that I'm going to look at it in a minute. The young woman conceives and gives birth to a son and shall call his name Emmanuel. All right. I'm going to look and make sure that the is there. If that is, it's the woman that you know. All right. That makes it a definite article. Makes it a specific person. All right. But we keep going. All right. He eats curds and honey, and when he knows to refuse evil and choose good, for before the child knows to refuse evil and choose good, the land you dread is to be forsaken of both her sovereigns. Timeline. Let's go back. Ask me a sign. I won't ask. I'm going to give you a sign for yourself. The young woman is going to conceive, give birth. Before he reaches a certain age, the two kings you dread will be forsaken of the land. Well, it'll be over with. Come on, cracking up.
Sorry, y'all. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm laughing. I'm sorry, you all. The way he be talking sometimes, and then he said timeline. Go ahead. Oh my goodness!
This man crazy.
Glory to the Most High. Glory to the Most High.
All right. So that's the virgin birthday. Without any preconceived notions, without any thoughts of what somebody might have told me it means, this is a reset button. I don't see no Messiah right there. I see somebody telling me what the side is going to be for Ahaz because that's what the scripture says. I don't see this being for a futuristic prophecy either. I see this, it says before that child does something that the land that you dread is going to be forsaken by both her sovereigns. All right. And then 17, the Most High brings on you and your people and your father's house that have not come since the days of Ephraim turned away from Judah, the sovereign of Ashur. What else was I saying? I think that's all I was going to reference in that one, because I thought I was going to keep it kind of short because I wanted to make sure I hit that point. So I just read a little bit more than I would have normally read. After that, there's more stuff said, but not any super futuristic thing. We will see in the next chapter or two what is said. And so all I want to say is, let's watch out for this prophecy because there's a time frame. This prophecy is according to Ahaz having a problem, like I just read word for word, almost out of a translation, which it doesn't matter which one you read. It's going to say basically the same thing. And he's telling him, don't worry, because this child will be a sign for yourself to know that the two kings that you tripping over, you ain't got to trip no more. And I'm going to yield the flow so they can have their time.
All right, I think it's on me. So, man,
yeah, I just want to, before you get started, before you get started, I want to say, man, that was good. That was good, yourself. I mean, you said, and I'm being funny right now, but, you know, he said himself last week or something like, I'm long-winded. Man, he broke that down quick in a hurry. Simple.
Hey, man, it's 1, 2, 3, though.
Hey, I'm like,
1, 2, 3. That's it. Yeah, it ain't really much to even talk about here. Okay. I think because that's just the biggest part in this is this Emmanuel. You know. So, man, he hit everything. I just want to reiterate. That's all I want to do. All right. He read this twice, but I just want to say, okay. He said, Yod-Hey, Waw-Hey spoke again to Ahaz, saying, as a sign for yourself. I double underlined that for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
From the Lord your God. Okay? For yourself. So this sign is for him. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know how much he gonna see this when he dead, okay?
700 some years later.
All right. So the Lord himself.
Well, I almost choked on this candy, man.
Then
I don't know how much he gonna see this when he dead.
All right. So it said the Lord himself will give you a sign because he didn't want to give him a sign. So what did he say? We'll give you a sign. Again, the question comes up. How is he seeing this sign when he dead? Behold, the virgin. Then he goes into the word virgin will conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Right? It don't matter what their name means, because if that's the case, I'm going to start breaking down everybody's name. I know they put emphasis on what the name means.
I'm going to say something. That name do mean something.
It do.
It means something. I'm going to show you something. So keep in mind, it really does matter what the name means, because he's saying, okay, when you understand how the Hebrew names work, he's basically saying this will be your sign that he's with you. Okay? I'm going to say it like that, not the way people are saying.
In the matter of these kings.
This event,
okay?
Exactly. Right, this is how you're going to know that the Most High is with you.
So that's why it said name his name that. Just like when we get to this next chapter, all right, and you get to this super long name that's broken up. It ain't even together, okay?
Mahershala.
But anyway, I'm going to get there, but we going to get there. But I just want to let you know that, okay? And then, like he said, in the land that you dread. That's big. Will be forsaken by both her kings. The land that you dread. This is a direct talking to this person. Okay? Not that y'all dread. He said you dread. He's talking to him. This is not a concern in him.
That's a good catch, too. The land that you dread.
Then you get to both kings. Then 17, the Lord will bring the king of Assyria upon you. Oh, so boom. That means boom, boom. This child born, boom, boom. Then this king of Assyria is going to come upon you and your people and your father's house. Days that I have not come since the day that Ephraim departed from Judah. We can't leave that. They say context 2 verses up, at least 2 verses up, at least 2 verses down. So that's why I read that next verse right there. And then it says the Lord will bring. So this is afterwards. So that means immediately, somewhere in between the same time frame, this child is born. Then afterwards, this, because it's talking about the kings of her land, this means actual Yehuda and somebody else, both her kings, because it's her kings. Her is Jerusalem. Her is the land. So that means the kings over that land is going to forsake. Then here come this king of Assyria upon your people is going to come after that. So how we reconcile that one?
And then Assyria take the 10 tribes? That's how that happened, right?
Man, you can go back to Kings and look at it.
I believe that's how that happened.
But I'm going to address that. I'm going to address that on the next chapter, though. Okay. I'm going to address it on the next chapter.
Okay.
So let's not get too deep into it because we got to move. I'm going to try to be quick as you. But that's all I got for that. Shabbat. It's on you.
Can y'all hear me? Y'all good?
Yes.
I don't got nothing to say. I have nothing to say. I wanted to say something, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wait until he's done with chapter 8, because if I say what I'm gonna say now, because I got something I want to read to you all too. But so I'm just gonna wait till all the 7 and 8 is done. But I do want to reiterate. Verses 13 through 16, real quick. I'm gonna read it from the renderings I have. Isaiah responded, "Hear now, O house of David, or Dawid, is it not enough for you that you scorn human prophets, that you scorn even my God? Therefore, my Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold," well, it says the young woman, but it's pregnant, and will bear a son, and she will name him Emmanuel. He will eat cream and honey as soon as he knows to hate evil and choose good. For before the child would know to hate evil and choose good, the land of the two kings whom you fear will be abandoned. I just wanted to read that again. That's all I want to do. I mean, it ain't nothing.
And I wanted to say something to make sure that this is known about this young woman. It's the young woman. So this is somebody that he knows. This is a definite person. This is not a random person. And that is a big thing when it's like saying go to the store, not just go to a store. Even though that might be how we talk, go to the store. But go to the Walmart, not just go to a Walmart. That means you should know what Walmart I'm talking about.
Even when we say go to the store, we already
but it usually is the store, right? Don't go to that store down the street all the way in South Holland, and you in Chicago. Don't go to that store. I'm saying usually the corner store. Go to the store for me. It's the store that you always go for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there that the is there. And
people might think that's
before
semantics.
He let this
I want
go.
to say people might think that's semantics, but sometimes if we don't want to go dive into the Hebrew grammar and all that stuff and flood you all with that information, we're just going from knowing what that is, and we're just saying to let you know that that does mean something. In grammar in general, in English, these grammatical terms, it points to something. It lets you. What happened?
No, keep going. I'm just looking at something because I was listening to something that you were saying when you read your verse.
Go ahead. What you talking about there?
I just need a little time, real quick. I need somebody to pull up the interlinear. Go to 7 and 14. All right.
And you see that noun? I was waiting for him to finish. Why is shall conceive a noun? Okay,
right. That's what I'm looking at.
Conceive supposed to be a verb.
Right.
I'm tripping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead. You explain that because I'm so glad that you said something because I ain't understand.
That because I'm like, hold on, what's going on? And it's in the call form, the pa'al.
Yes, which people don't understand. That is a past tense.
She has conceived.
Wow. The version that has
somebody playing games with this text, bro. They talking about this is a noun. You crazy?
She already had a baby. The version that
read your
had
version
a
again,
baby.
Shema.
My version. What verse? Therefore,
14.
Well, yeah, mine must be wrong too then. Therefore, my Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the young woman is pregnant and will bear a son.
No, your version is right.
You said
what part
your woman is
that's past tense. When you conceive a child, that means you pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So pregnant mean that it's like she already got pregnant. She already conceived.
Right, that's what
child.
that's saying.
And your version comes from people that speak the language. So,
right.
Even though they want to add some words, that was
they
perfect.
add some stuff.
They do.
But in this instance,
but that was perfect,
because
though.
I know that this is a verb, and the word is hara. And we've been going over these verb conjugations.
Yeah.
Hara would be perfect tense. Kal, masculine, singular.
Mhm. That's what it is.
So this means that she was already pregnant when he even said it. There's foul play going on.
Oh, yeah.
And then it says shall call. Ain't that, it says karat. that's perfect past tense also. And bear a son and called his name Emmanuel.
Yeah.
All right.
It'd be
Sounds about
more
right.
so she called.
All right. So we got to get the last one done. I'm going to have less than
That's
30
deep.
minutes. I don't know if y'all had anything else to say, but I just want to know why they rendered that as a noun, knowing it's a verb.
Yeah, that's
Because
all.
if you
now,
shall
hold on now.
conceive, that's an action. Shall conceive is an action. Now, if it says she is pregnant, pregnant is a noun. So which one is it? Because either
Now
way, you caught up.
Right, that's why. Hold on. Now watch this. That makes the version that I have correct there, because
That's what I said.
mine says she is the one. The young woman is pregnant, so that makes it a noun, right? 'Cause,
Right.
Because it's pregnant.
Because
Right.
pregnancy is a thing.
Right.
So
Right.
if it is rendered as a noun and they're correct about it being a noun, they shouldn't have rendered it as a verb or action. Shall be.
Right.
Right. Oh, wait.
I'm gonna look
Okay,
more
and then I'm
into
gonna
it.
say,
I'm gonna look
yeah, we're
more
gonna look
Man,
more into
y'all
that
better
because
share this on
that
Facebook,
just
man.
happened. But I'm gonna
Share
say
this
one
piece,
thing,
please.
and I'm gonna say this, and I want y'all to understand this point blank period. Now we're reading this, and y'all have read this with us. All the people that's listening back, the reset button for this one is stuck for some people. But I want to say that if you see anything contradictory to what you read here, it is not the truth. That unless you want to uphold one thing up over the other, as far as saying this is got some extra stuff in it that we not seeing, that would make something else the truth. Anything other than what you read here is contradictory to what you read here. This is a big
because this
reset
is the
button
number
for a lot
one.
of people.
This is the first story. You can't get the second story without the first story. You can't say the first story was wrong, but the second story is right. When
Right.
your second
This is the
story
original
is
story,
filmed
right.
from the original story.
Okay, and I'm going to say one more thing. This is where I started. This chapter, this verse. And y'all think I'm crazy? You can think I'm crazy all you want. These brothers know I was losing my mind over trying to reconcile this verse and line it up.
And
now y'all
hey,
can lose y'all
last
mind.
thing I want to say about it, and I know we keep going, we got to let this thing go. But the last thing I want to say about it is that I don't see no other name reference in this prophecy. I just want to say that. Either the name got to be Emmanuel. It didn't say and his nickname shall be. None of that. I just want that to be said. Y'all could take that how you want to. I hope you don't take it too much to the heart, because it is what it is.
And it's a little deeper. I want to say this, and
Yeah,
then we got to let you go, man. We got to let you do this. We got to let you do this chapter.
Yeah.
But I want to close it like this, and then we go into you, because I don't even want to go into questions right now in the queue. We need to get this last chapter out, because it's 1:30. Nobody's in the queue anyway. I want to say it's deeper than this. So if you have questions with the panelists, please email them, hit them on Facebook to see whatever they're trying to allude to, which I think is self-explanatory. But we know that people formulate their own thoughts from this. We're just staying in context. And that's why when I get to, I wanted to wait till after he done with chapter 8, so I want to read something to y'all. I want to show you something, and it's all about consistency. It's all about how stuff is done. And I'm going to point out something in chapter 8 that's going to blow y'all mind if It's not already beaten by Yada Yah. And it's going to attach to what I'm trying to convey right now. But go ahead, the floor is yours.
Yada Yah, take it.
All right, man, I'm going to try to get through this real quick. I got to go myself, so I'm just trying to get through it. So, all right. Next we have, in the next chapter, right, we continue. We saw in that chapter, after it talked about the child being born and being named Emmanuel, we see that it mentions something about Assyria coming in, right? So 8 starts off and talks about Assyria invading. It gets a little deeper into it, right? So we see it say, take a scroll and write on it with a man pen concerning, I'm reading from New King James, Mahar Shalal Ha-Baz, okay? Hash-Baz, okay? First thing I want to say is this is one name, right? But it's many words making up this name, but it's not like together. Like Abraham means something, but it's just one, like all the characters are connected. This is broken up, right? I'm bringing this up because later I'm going to talk about this again. Now, they didn't break down what this name meant. They put it in a name form. All right? But the name means something. So each word means something. You could translate it as blah, 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 right? But they made sure we saw it in name form. That's important. Make a mental note, because I'm going to go back to this. For before the child shall have known to cry, my father, my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria will be taken away before the king of Syria. So first we talk about this child, Emmanuel, right? And it said what was going to happen when that child was born, right? Then it talks about Assyria, right? So we context is key. We dealing with context like a mug today. So we dealt with that, and then right after that, it mentioned about the Assyrian people, right? Now we dealing with another child concerning Assyria. Looks like a timeline to me. Looks like this first child is dealing with what's going to happen first. Second child dealing with what's going to happen next, right? Maybe I'm tripping, but that's just how I see it. All right? Then we're going to deal with timeline. I'm not even going to pull it up, but look at 2 Kings 16:9 and 2 Kings 17:5. It actually shows this stuff happening. They came and besieged. Assyria came and besieged Samaria. That's what you're going to read when you go into those, right? Then you go to where it talk about fearing and heeding the word of the Most High. This is Yeshayahu speaking. He said, for the Lord spoke thus to me. That's Yeshayahu speaking. You go down, it say, do not say a conspiracy and all this stuff like that. So he tell him when he go down, don't be talking about it's a conspiracy. They brought this on themselves. You know what I'm saying? And telling him, to fear the Most High and all this stuff. Then it goes to he will be a sanctuary. If you go up to the context, verse 13, the one before, it say the Lord of hosts. So the Lord of hosts will be a sanctuary, but a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel. Two things here. The stumbling block is Yod-He, Waw-He, when you go into context. Yeah. Right? Secondly, to both houses of Israel. It's two houses of Israel. So when it say the house of Israel, you got to make sure you know which one it's talking about. Because Yehuda is considered a house of Israel, and Israel is considered, so northern, southern kingdom. One is called the house of Israel, the other is called the house of Yehuda, but they're both Yisrael. So in this, when we go back to the context and it says this is about Yehuda and Jerusalem, the vision of Yeshayahu, when it brings up the Israel, it's talking about Yehuda. Because it already set the tone in the context when we first started. So just because you see Israel don't mean they talking about the house of Israel, the other kingdom. Because both of them are considered Israel, right? That's the second thing. Then it goes, bind up testimony, seal the law among my disciples, right? Okay. When it say my disciples, remember, Yeshayahu is talking. He's talking to them. They shall fall and be broken, be snared and taken. Bind up the testimony and seal the law among my disciples, and I will wait on the Lord. If it was the Lord talking, he would say, I'm waiting on myself. Because remember, prophets has understudies. We read that.
Yep.
This has nothing to do with what you might be thinking it has to do with. Hit your reset button.
Pretty much. Look at Elijah and Elisha. What was Elisha to Elijah?
His disciple.
Understudy. Mm-hmm.
His disciple, his pupil, his student, his wise student. All right, to the law and the testimony. If they do not speak according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. When you go into the context, they are talking about going to see mediums and wizards. That is against what is written in the law. So he's saying people that saying that ain't no light in them because the law is the light. The testimony, that's the light. So basically, if they going against this, do not do what they telling y'all to do. That's all this is saying.
Hit the reset.
And it's in context of what's going on right at that very moment. That's all I got to say. I'm about to be on the move. I'm going to let these brothers take over.
All right. Let me go ahead and jump in, man. Let me jump in, y'all. Let me jump in.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Yediya.
Yes.
Yediya still there? Did you break
Yeah,
down
I'm
what
here.
the man name means?
You want me to?
Yes. Unless Shema was on it, because I know what it means. I just wanted you to put it out there.
You go ahead and you break it down.
Well, it wasn't that they broke it down. I just looked up and they gave me what's called that. If you're going to break down every
tell
word,
us what
that's
it means.
probably be.
Tell us what it means.
Let me go to it real quick. Because, I don't know, unless Shema, you was going to do that in your presentation.
No, but I was going to bring something, what I was trying to bring out from the 7th chapter that was going to close with the 8th. Because, mind you, he only showed 2 children. It's a third. And then I wanted to bring something out to confirm what Yediya was what Yediya was conveying, in addition to what he was saying. That's going to open the gates of something to those that's listening. I don't know. I'm just freestyling. Oh, man. So, I don't know if you want me to go ahead and go or wait for what you about the main thing.
Mahar Shalal Shazbaz is swift is the booty or speedy is the prey. That's what it means, basically. That's what it is. It's a meaning to it. And you're saying that Assyria was on their way at the time.
So, with that said, each of these names got something to do with what's going on in the immediate context and what he's saying is going to happen. All right? When you go to that verse, what I said about the whole Damascus thing, when you go back in Kings, it'll show you the same thing it's saying, that they tried to come against him and they did not prevail. That's exactly what the Most High told him was going to happen. So all this stuff is connected to what's going on at the time. And this Shabazz thing, my main thing with that is because his name is broken up. It's not one whole solid name. So, but they didn't take that in consideration when they translated it. But watch what they do later. Watch what they do later. You gotta watch them. They're sneaky. You got to watch them. I'm going to show y'all what they do. Now, y'all seen firsthand right here. They made Shabazz name a name. But watch later. I'm done.
All right, so let me go into and bring in what I wanted to bring out. Hey, before I go, didn't you mention something about 2 Kings 19 and 30? Yeah. You mentioned something about 2 Kings 19.
2 Kings 16 and 2 Kings 17.
Okay. 17, okay. Well, that's still close to 19. Anyway. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to point out something real quick. We're going to read 17 and 18, chapter 8. It says, I shall await Yah, who has concealed his face from the house of Jacob, and I will hope to him. Now check this out, verse 18. Behold, I and the children whom Yah has given me are signs and symbols for Israel, from Yah, Master of Legions, who dwells in Mount Zion. So, verse 18 confirms what Yah, I'm about to say Yah, what Yah is saying, yes, but what you did, Yah is saying. Behold, I and the children whom Yah has given me are signs and symbols. What children is he talking about? What children is he talking about? It's symbols and signs. So, it's another child that he didn't mention. I want to just read. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Well, you read chapter 7, and then I'm going to read out what I wanted to bring to you. When you read chapter 7, verse 3, it says, Yah said to Isaiah, go out and meet Ahaz, you and your son Shear Jashub, which means a remainder will return. Okay? It means a remainder will return. So, what I wanted to bring up, because we was talking about Emmanuel, which Emmanuel has a meaning to it, and we actually been leading up from that meaning up until this point right now. We've been seeing in atrocities or situations like this of what we're reading, like the Damascus and the Syrian thing that we're talking about now, where he wanted to show that he's with them. He wanted to show them, and Emmanuel is that meaning, right? That's what we know that meaning to be. Now I want to read something to y'all, because when I saw this and I lined up verse 16 in chapter 7, and then I lined up in context. You know, this is one of the resets I did. At first, I gotta wait till I get to my chapter, because I'm doing chapter 9 next week, y'all. So remember, I said something about resets. So this is one of the resets I did. I'm gonna bring out in chapter 9. But anyway, in the study that I was doing right now, I was trying to figure out something. And then I got the contextual understanding and timeline, and I just started doing some Google researching too, to see if what I was saying made some sense. You know, this is a time when me and the fellas, we really don't, like Yosef said in the beginning, we kind of just come on the show to see what happens, you know, from the study of the chapters that we're doing. We don't want to give each other any answers or anything like that. So that's why sometimes I do extra research. But I want to read something to y'all. I want to go to 7, 4, and 7. I don't think I read it when it was Yosef's turn. I think he has 7. So it says, and say to him in verse 4, be calm and still, fear not, let your heart not grow faint before these 2 smoldering, spent fire bands, before the burning wrath of Rezin and Aram, and before the son of Remaliah. And then I want to go to verse 7. Thus said my Lord Yah Elohim, it shall not endure and it shall not be. Okay, now, the purpose of me saying this is kind of going into what Yosef was saying. Yosef was like he was tripping. You know, he was tripping, right? But he was panicking. So, what I'm going to read is this. It says, it is important to note that this first message from Isaiah to Ahaz was accompanied by a child. That's that first child. This is the child that Yedayah, I don't know if he probably just didn't pinpoint these two, but this is the third child, because if you go to the end of chapter 8, it says, I and the children whom Hashem has given, or Yah has given me, are signs and symbols of Israel, right? So the first child was his company child right here. He has a son of Isaiah whose name means a remnant shall return, which I have said already. The idea of remnant preserved by God in spite of horrible endings of history is an important theological theme in the Tanakh. Now, we know that to be true because as we've been reading today and chapters before this, we've been seeing a lot of this remnant. We was the stem that Yosef was speaking of. The verses that I took us to talking about the remnant being that holy seed and things like that. We're seeing that is it has been preserved by Elohim or God in spite of these horrible endings. It first appears, we see that in Yosef's story in Genesis, and it recurs at significant crisis points throughout Israelite history. 2 Kings 19, and this goes with Yedayah was talking about chapter 16, and I think you said 17, but it goes on to 19. Isaiah, we're going to get there. We haven't got there yet. The chapter, I'm not going to say it out loud. Jeremiah, Ezra, etc. It says it is a promise of hope in the face of impending historical catastrophe. While there is no specific joint made here in Isaiah 7 about the child, it is obvious that his mention here, especially with such a significant name, was a part of the message of Isaiah to Ahaz. He is with him. We're going to do the same way that he did back then. And the fact that the names of the two successive children in these two chapters did play significant roles in Isaiah's message clues us to an important part of the theology of at work in these chapters. This is not the only time that the prophet's children had become part of the prophetic message. A few years earlier, which we're not there yet, but Yosef, I think Yedayah had to leave, step away, so I'm going to say it. Of a few years earlier, Hosea had used the names of his three children to bring a message of warning and repentance to the people of Northern Kingdom. And we're going to get into that in Hosea. It says, we need to note that it was not the children themselves that carried the message for Hosea, but their names. In fact, a play on their names and a reversal of their meaning introduced and summarized the entire message of the book of Hosea. And I ain't going to go too much deeper. That was some good points that they put out there. But what I did want to really pinpoint is when he said in chapter 8, behold, I and the children whom Yah has given me are signs and symbols. It further confirms this breakdown that this person had spoke on, and it also confirms what we're trying to convey in our message through our studies. Contextually speaking, this is within this time. 700 and some years later, this Ahaz will not be able to see this. This is for you to see yours. This is what he was saying. This is what we read. So that's all I really wanted to add with this, and going to open the queue up if anybody has anything to say. If not, then we're going to do the closing statement with Yosef, and then myself, and I'll pray us out. So I'm going to give y'all a couple seconds to press 1 if you have anything to say. Okay, we have, I think that's Sister Chokmah in the queue. I'm going to bring her in. Sister Chokmah, is that you?
Yeah, that's me. I just wanted to say, because you said, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. My phone is trying to break on me. Or it's going in and out. I need a new phone. But I just wanted to say, someone stated, I think it was someone told, if anyone has some discussion that they wanted to email the panelists,
Mhm. Yeah.
Never mind. I was just gonna say
What
I
happened?
want in on this conversation, on this these conversations that y'all inbox is finna be blowing up. I was just saying I just would like to hear these stories about this because this was deep when I it's deep, and it's hard to unlearn what you have learned, even though you're reading this and you're hearing this. It's still, and then when you try to tell your kids this, it's even harder. So it's reset time, y'all. That's all I can say. Shalom.
What I'm gonna do, sis, is I'm going to send, and anybody else is on the line, let me know, let one of these brothers know. I'm going to send you all, and also remember what this link that I'm going to send you, or send to yourself, or send to Yada. This is a confirmation link. This is something that was an addition to the study that I've been doing and the study that yourself's been doing. So it's not like we went here and this is the answer. No. This was just like, whoa, so let me do further research because this is not adding up what the current understanding is today. Not at all. It's out of context for first and foremost. Secondly, I'm just going to send a link. I'm going to send it to yourself, and then yourself could give it to you. Send it to you because I'm not on Facebook any longer right now. So, or I send it to Yada, they can send it to you, whatever. But I think y'all should really read this link. This person that broke it down, they did way better than I could right now. I mean, I just give you the simplest answers that should be understandable. But they broke it down. Their belief might not be completely like ours, but they did an excellent breakdown with this. And it just further confirmed what I know right now. So that's what I do for you.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't think anybody go email. I don't know if anybody gonna email us. To be honest with you, my email is shamabenya@gmail.com. That's SHAMABENYAH.EL@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, make sure hit me up. And we only have we got 8 minutes left. I want to get a prayer in. We got Mercy in the queue. Mercy, you got to make it as super, 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 super quick. And then let yourself have the floor. And then I'll pray us out as quick as I can.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you should open it up on His Taught One's website about the word alma, the Hebrew word for young women. I think you should open up. I mean, I think that'd be a good discussion. Because I got a few things I would like to say too. So
Hey, but on some real, you're in the what you call it? Just you could put a post up. We could put a post. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like the post, it's for anybody to put in questions and comments. That's why we encourage that. I mean, right after this, you could put up something. And we will contribute to, the conversation. So that's not for us to have to. We don't have to make a post. You can. Anybody can. Listening. I mean, and if you're listening online and you're not part, just send one to the Talk Radio, and we will accept you because you listening, and you just come on and put your questions, comments, anything, discussions, whatever. So,
all right,
Brother Mercy, you could do that in a second.
All right,
yes,
for sure.
Thanks a lot.
All right, no problem.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. Go ahead yourself. Go ahead, and I'm close.
Okay, let me just make this real super quick. All right. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the show. It's always been a pleasure. Next week we're gonna, keep on going. We're gonna figure out how many chapters we're doing. I would like to say, even myself today, I learned something. I mean, I had a little reset that I had to do something today. I was gonna be able to explain what it is, but I don't have time. I might even put that on the post. My understanding between 7 and 8 has even changed because of the Hebrew understanding. Because when I first read it, I didn't know, some words in the Hebrew and stuff like that. I didn't even know how to conjugate verbs and stuff like that. So even me seeing it recently was like, wow, So that's why we say it is important to know some stuff, because I read it, and now that I reread it and looking up certain words and how phrases were used, I have a way bigger understanding, and it's something that I couldn't have gotten from any translation. And this is not to knock the translation, but it's just to say that, I guess they did the best that they could, but it's something missing. That's all. Shalom, shalom, and have a peaceful Shabbat.
All right. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. I don't have anything to add. These brothers did an awesome job. The listeners, we appreciate all of you for tuning in. And please, I might have to come back on Facebook if you all make a post. I want to see what you all say about this in the His Taught Ones Talk radio group, please. And then I would love to see how the brothers are going to break down these two different words, which is very important. I understand that definite article as well. With that being said, please clear your heads, clear your minds. Father, we thank you for another segment of the Reset Button, another day to fellowship and go meticulously through your word to get the understanding that the authors who have wrote it in inspiration through you wrote down. Please continue to fill us with your spirit and understanding your wisdom. That's what we desire. That's what we need to pass the message correctly to others. And we just love you and appreciate you for it. We ask that you just continue to cover us through these days, these tough, dark days that's happening, and just protect the family members that might be lost. But we know that you would desire for us to reach them and bring them and bring the message to them. So we appreciate you for that. Thank you for using us and using us as a vessel. We ask these things and we thank you for these things in your holy name. Amen.